Oh, I'm a dumbass.
Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes. I will beat your ass.
We some lions, don't let the boys get loose. About to play with our food any day that we choose. We some lions, got them all listening. Time to make history, I want a victory. Lions, don't let the boys get loose. About to play with our food any day that we choose. We some lions, got them all listening. Time to make history, I want a victory. Lions, don't let them boys get loose. It's a new day, Honolulu Blue got the boys on a crusade. Campbell throwing dukes, got golf at the Wings game. Hear his name replay. Got him off the leash every Sunday. David Montgomery, Gibbs on a runway. Take a shot at Jameson and stumble out the hallway. Running in the hutch any day, that's a bad day. They don't wanna bring us up, keep us off the airways. America's team, sick of dealing with these Cowboys. Keep it in your hostess, you've been.
No, let's see here. What do we got?
What up, though, fellas?
There we go.
What? Welcome to the show, the one ass cheek and three toes. And as you saw today, it is the NFL and NFC North debate. Ding.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. How y'all doing, man?
What was
y'all
that,
ready
man?
for this? I know, it's like all awkward. I was waiting for B to hit the ding part, but I actually gave him a warning.
Ding. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
man.
how y'all
Hey,
feeling,
look,
guys?
I'm ready.
Y'all ready for
Good,
this?
man. Yeah, I'm ready for this, dude.
Yeah, it's one of those feelings where they're your brother, but on the show they're not.
Mhm.
You know,
Right.
you're giving up a pound off the screen, but when you're on the screen, hey, it's on. Fight on. So
Yeah.
on that note, we're gonna go ahead and just get started. We got a lot to cover. Yeah, exactly,
A
Rob.
little bit early, Robbie, but we're gonna be there.
We're gonna get started with some stuff that we got going on, and then we're gonna get into the debate. So first off, we're gonna talk some Panthers. Panthers played the Birmingham Stallions yesterday in Ford Field. Decent crowd.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, Ford Field has not been good to the Lions and the Panthers. Oh my!
Yeah.
Just
These
did not
last
show
couple
up.
games.
Yeah,
They sure the hell didn't.
Yeah, Panthers did not show up yesterday. Was not a good game. B, what was the final score?
21-12. They didn't make a run near the end, but it was a little bit too late.
Yeah, and the game wasn't really close at all, to be honest with you. I think they got within 9 points after they threw a long touchdown midway through the third quarter. Just y'all's thoughts on the Panthers. If you guys watched the game, what are y'all's thoughts? Like, what concerns do you have with the Panthers right now?
Consistency. I think they need a little bit more consistency because they can look like a really good team and then they can look like a really bad team. I think consistency is key. Overall, I enjoyed the game though yesterday. Even with the L, it's kind of good to see football. It's kind of good to have football back and get a little bit of just a little taste of what I'm looking for here in a couple of months.
Especially in Detroit, man.
Yeah.
I like to see
Football is
I
huge.
like to see the same product I saw a couple of last week. I would like to see that product that was out there on the field. I guess they got to play better on the road instead of at home, huh?
Well, is it also too fair to say that the competition they played was not like the Stallions? Because we figured the Stallions were going to bounce back because they took a loss their first game of the year. And
I mean,
they don't lose a lot.
defenders beat them. I mean, it's not.
Mhm.
I don't know, man. I got to see. They're going to be at home next week against the Brahmas.
Brahmas.
So we'll see. Yeah, Brahmas.
Brahmas.
Yeah, so
Brahmas.
we'll see what happens next week. If they beat them next week and they beat them handily, or they play close, we'll find out what they're going to be made of. Because this is like one tail of the good and one tail of bad. So we'll find out what's.
I think they need to sell on a quarterback too. Like, I don't like this 2 quarterback thing, like Perkins, and then they brought that other guy in. It was Etling that came in, number 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Etling.
Well, I think he mainly did that because they weren't doing anything.
Right.
And that's the reason why. So I don't know.
Yeah, they need to sell on a quarterback. And honestly, I think I brought this up in the chat with y'all about the Panthers. The Panthers seem very pass heavy this year. In the past, they've always been a good run team, and they've seen more pass heavy this year. Maybe they got more weapons. They got the Nakua brother, and so maybe they're just wanting to throw more. I don't know, but I would like to see them run the ball more to kind of.
It's a breath of fresh air, though. To see they like to go. I mean, we like to see exciting football, and what way to be more excited than gunning it 25, 30 times a game. And they like to do it. I like to see it too. But I definitely do think they need a full-time starter at quarterback. You can't have 2-3 quarterback system, people rotating in and out. You got to be straightforward with that offense.
Yeah, Robbie, they do show it on TV. Well, at least I know it was on YouTube TV. I don't know where it was at.
It's on Fox. It's on Fox.
It's on Fox.
Robbie,
Yeah,
and Fox Sports Net.
Yeah,
and ESPN.
They still show it on TV. Yeah.
Yeah, they still show it on TV. But yeah, I don't know if I mean with the coach that they have, he likes to pass a lot. He was using the 2 quarterback set last year because the guy that we had, Perkins, was out last season. He got injured. So they use Etling and another guy as a 2 quarterback thing. Whoever was playing the better at the time of the game, he would put in there. And I think that this time was just because of the fact that they weren't playing well in the first half at all and needed some kind of spark of something going on. So he threw in Etling. So
right on. Yeah, definitely. All right. I quit following the UFL to cut my team. Yeah, the Maulers.
Yeah.
But they'll be back in there. I believe they're coming back. Robbie,
they're going to expand. They're going to expand the league. Yeah.
I think they're expanding to 4 to 8 more teams next year. So you should be fine.
That'd be dope. That's going to be dope.
All right, y'all. Well, we're going to go ahead and jump into Lions talk. Man.
Well, let Jay cook. You want to let Jay cook first?
Yeah, let Jay cook. Yeah, let him cook.
You want to let him cook? You want to let him cook?
Yep.
So
cook? Back to the segment of Let Jay cook, man. I'm breaking down the top.
Let Jay cook.
Breaking down
I love that. That was awesome.
I like that. So this segment again, everybody, this is for the people who didn't get to tune in last week. I'm breaking down to the draft. I'm breaking down some of the top prospects. I go by position. Last week we did defensive ends. This week we're going to do safeties. I hope everybody enjoy.
Yes, sir.
Let's get to it.
What's up, everybody? Look, today I'm going to give you the breakdown of my top 5 safeties. At number 1, I got the safety out of South Carolina, Nick Emonwari. Dude is a physical specimen, 6'3", 227 pounds, and runs a 4.38 in the 40 time. Pretty impressive kid. He earned a coverage grade of 88.1 and played 789 coverage snaps since 2023. If he's sitting there at 28, I would not hesitate to draft him if I'm Brad Holmes. You see, the kid just flies to the ball. I mean, what else could you ask for in a safety? That's number 1. At number 2, Malachi Stark, safety out of Georgia. He stands at 6'1", 205 pounds. Now, it's important to know that he played 38% of his snaps in the slot. He also earned a coverage grade of 80. That's pretty good, right? Not to mention, he's a really good run tackler. Look at him in coverage. Look at how he locates the ball, finds his target, catches the ball. At number 3, I got Andrew Mukuba, safety out of Texas. It's important to know about this kid, really talented. When he was at Clemson, he was freshman All-American, and he was ACC Defense Rookie of the Year. Think he's pretty good. Let me know what you think about him. At number 4, I got Xavier Watts from the University of Notre Dame. He stands at 6 foot, 203 pounds. As you can see, he had a high coverage grade of 90.3 over the past 2 seasons. Played 830 coverage snaps, 13 interceptions, 7 breakup passes, and a passer rating allowed of 33.9. That's crazy. He could be easily one of the best safeties, if not the best safety in this year's draft. He played under a strong-minded head coach in Marcus Freeman. I think he'd fit well with the Lions at 28. And one of my personal favorites, Malachi Moore from the University of Alabama. He's considered a hybrid. He can play the slot, and he could be like a real true safety. He had a coverage grade of 89.4 and had a 60.0 passer rating allowed. So let me know what y'all think about these safeties. Who the Lions could take at 28.
Fantastic.
All right.
Good stuff.
Yes, sir.
Loved it.
Yes, sir. So
That's what happens.
next week we're going to be doing.
And make the cooking.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
there you go.
for sure, man. You know, I really
Of course
want to
you-
talk about that guy out of cook something good.
Robbie.
Want to talk about that guy out of Notre
Yeah,
Dame.
let's
That guy,
let's
I
talk about that.
I followed him. I followed him quite extensively, especially with them being a rival of Michigan. I just kind of like to spite watch him, like to want to see them lose every game. But he does some good things. He's like really good in coverage, and that's something that we have in Kirby Joseph, right? Like we know Kirby Joseph is going to be right there at the ball, but this kid is younger. This kid's cheaper. I'm not saying in any kind of way that we need to get rid of Kirby Joseph. I'm just saying that's a guy that could learn under Kirby Joseph, and I think he'd come into the league.
Was that the guy that put that hit on the snot bubble hit on the goal line there?
That's Makuba. Makuba.
Oh, that's Makuba?
Yeah, no, that was
Ooh,
Makuba out of Texas.
Makuba reminds me of Diggs. A lot of Diggs.
Thank you, Robbie. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that, Robbie. Thank you. Yeah, but Makuba, he's another guy that was really good too. I've seen them play Texas twice, and Texas, they have a really good passing game with Golden, with all of those receivers down there. He did a great job with shutting down his assignments, being able to keep what's the guy's name? The quarterback. Why am I drawing a blank? Quinn Ewers. He did a good job of basically making Quinn Ewers uncomfortable when it came to the passing game. I loved it.
Well, Makuba's on Texas, bud.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying I wanted to talk about him as well, Makuba.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, Nick Anori. Nick. I don't know if I say his name right. But I say, is it Nick? How does he say it? Imawari. Okay, like
Imawari.
Okay.
Yeah.
Imawari. Okay.
I think that's how you say it. I don't want to butcher his name too bad.
Yeah, Nick. Okay, I'm just saying Nick. Nick is my favorite. I like Nick a lot. I actually mistaken him for a cornerback. I thought he was a cornerback, but he's actually a safety. So I do apologize for that.
He's a safety.
He would be a really good addition to the Lions defense because if you get him, you've got BB, who I think BB's going to have a great third year. Kirby Joseph's already a great player. You have those three safeties and they're long range and they're big. Like you talk about chess pieces that Shep can run out there because the Lions like to run three safeties sometimes. And the thought process is what I've heard, and we'll get into Brad's presser, but Maddox could play safety too. Like he talked about that, how he could put Maddox back there at safety. So if they feel comfortable with Maddox, that's fine. But if they want Anori or whatever, if they want Nick to be the safety, that would be great. I'd love to utilize all three of those guys.
Yeah,
and Brad loves SEC football too.
And let's highlight this as well. The Lions, no matter what position you play, whether it's corner, safety, defensive end, tackle, they love stopping the run. You got just about a lot of, whether it's Thor back there, Jack Campbell, Aiden Hutchinson, whoever, they can stop the run. He had a great grade when it came to run stopping as well. That's one thing I like to see is defensive backs lining up on the offensive line or even just coming in and just stopping the play in the backfield. That's something that's huge. And I think the Lions did well with that last year, and adding another piece like that would definitely propel them over the top.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this real quick about the Lions draft prospect. Is the fact is that everybody wants them to draft an end. We understand that. We know that the end is the number one priority. However, if the draft goes a different way where a lot of these draft ends get drafted quickly, like I don't want the Lions to reach on a guy just because they need an end. You know what I'm saying? Like you can get another end the second round. Like I don't think the draft grades are that much different from the lower ends to the second round ends. And if you can get a guy like Nick to bolster with BB and Kirby, I mean, damn, that secondary is legit. Like
secondary is legit
with a capital L, straight up.
For sure. And I was doing a little bit of research and studying around, and I seen that it was a couple NFL executives say that they have kind of this consensus thought that anybody outside of the top 15 are kind of like the same people. I'm with you, Nate. I don't want the Lions to take defensive end just because you're in need of that. I want you to pick the right guy. If the right guy is staring you in the face at 28 and he's worth the 28 pick, if you don't trade up, then you take him, right? But you want to get the best player available at that time.
Absolutely.
And I mean, as much as we are looking for pass rushing help, we got to also highlight that our secondary had its struggles last year too, and we lost a couple pieces. So if you can get stronger at that position, why not?
Yeah, and it'll help your pass rushing. It'll help your pass rushing if you can cover better and they can't get open. That makes your pass rushing job a little bit easier because they marry each other.
Yeah, definitely. I see it that same way. I'm in agreement with you.
Great work, my
Certainly.
man. Great work.
Appreciate
next
that.
week we're gonna have probably. I think we're gonna go. Let's go D tackle next week.
Defensive tackles for sure.
Give me some beef. Give me some beef inside the big uglies. They call
Yeah,
it.
I got you for sure.
All right, D tackle next week on Let Jays Cook segment. All right, let's keep rolling. So, of course, the owner meetings came to, I think Tampa. They were there. I think correct. Yeah.
Mhm.
Brad and Dan. I hope y'all watch their pressers. Listen, I understand that a lot of it's coach speak. A lot of stuff they say is probably already planned out and already well thought. But I think one thing about Brad and Dan is they throw little breadcrumbs to you when they talk, and you got to follow the breadcrumbs. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about some of the breadcrumbs that Dan and Brad let out. So first off, give me y'all's thoughts on Brad's presser. Anything caught your eye? Anything that raised an eyebrow, made you think a little bit? Question? Go for it.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago we were all talking about free agency and trading pieces, like whether it was Myles Garrett, somebody I wanted, or Trey Hendrickson, Micah Parsons, etc. Brad Holmes kind of just came out basically saying, you know what, we're not looking to add just big names. We're looking to add football players, and we want to be able to top of paying our players as well. So, we argued about that quite often. And I mean, he just made it really clear that he wasn't going out giving anybody any big contracts on the outside. He wanted to take care of his guys first.
He used
when he say it.
Sorry, go ahead.
My bad. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say real quick, he used the mortgage and college fund analogy, which I think is perfect.
Yeah.
You have the mortgage as the cap, and your college fund are your young players that you got to pay down the line. So if you got a mortgage, you can't go out and go on vacation all the time because you've got a responsibility to pay those kids to get to college. And that's what he's saying is like, we want these guys in our house to get paid if they deserve it. So we can't go out and make big expenditures as far as everybody in the fan base and their mother wants. We've got to be smart with our money. That's what he was saying. Right. But go ahead. Jay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah. And they have been Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell has been very matter of fact of like how they speak. And when they say something, I'm guilty of it. As a Lions fan, I kind of think that they're leading you in one direction, but they're telling you exactly what they want to do. And Brad Holmes, he's telling you that he wants his guys. He believes in his guys, the coaches, the staff. They all believe in the players they have. They want to pay them. And if they have something left over for another player, they'll bring him in as well, as long as he can fit the culture, as long as he fits in the locker room and he can make football plays.
And that's
what I got
from foundation.
That
that's
presser.
The foundation of building a team. I mean, everybody wants to look at the Eagles as a standard. That's what the Eagles do. They draft and develop their own players, and they pay them. That's just what they do. That's why they've been successful, and that's why they've been able to pay guys like Saquon, pay guys like Antonio Brown, pay guys like Jalen Hurts, because they draft and develop their defense very well. I mean, you look at their defense next year, they're going to have like 1s and 2s mostly across the board because they draft and develop. That's what the Lions are doing. They're trying to draft and develop as much as they can and hit as much as they can. Go ahead, B.
Yep.
What you got?
I agree.
So, sorry about that. The Tigers just won.
There you go.
They came back and won in the ninth inning. Yeah, Torkelson was a two-run
Torkelson. All right.
Torkelson
Shout out
came
Torkelson.
through.
Okay, Tork.
But anyway,
Tork, we see you.
I was watching Brad Holmes' presser. Brad Holmes kind of is like
it's a car.
It's hard for me to watch him sometimes just to listen to his pressers because he's boring. Okay, whatever. I'd rather listen to Dan because Dan usually puts a little more emphasis on stuff like that. He's more of the talker. He's more
monotone. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, I agree with you.
More at the same time that Dan was talking, I mean, he was talking about we may add something before the draft, after the draft. We still got things that we can do and stuff like that. I mean, this is what's going to be happening with coaches and GMs all over the league right now. They're going to tell you and throw smoke screens out there to get you to think, or other teams to think. It's more like it's a strategic thing with the other teams because they don't want to show their hand in the draft. They don't want to show their hand in who they're going after if they're going after a free agent. They want to keep it as blasé as possible, as all over the place as they possibly can. So, I mean, the things that I picked up from Dan Campbell was the whole coaching situation with the offensive and the defensive coordinator. And actually, I was liking the fact that a New York Jet reporter came up there and asked him a question, too, about how he thinks AG is going to do with the Jets. And I loved his answer about that. It was the same answer I give all the time when they talk about who you think is going to be the better coach, Ben Johnson or AG. And I said AG because he's a player's guy. He comes from the same script that Dan Campbell has come from.
Leader.
They've been great for over these years.
They're cut
and
from
he
the
knows
same
how
cloth.
Yeah, he knows how to put together a team, and I think they're going to really come together in that whole aspect over there in the Jets. I look for it. I don't think they're going to be Super Bowl bound the first year, obviously, but I think they're going to get that team together. But as far as Dan Campbell's concerned with John Morton and Shepard, I mean, he's right. You still got the same players. They already know what they got to do in offense. John Morton's just going to add his little twist to it, just like Ben Johnson did when he came in. And you got to remember something. Ben Johnson was a rookie offensive coordinator. John Morton is seasoned. And yes, I'm a lot of people, he's not nothing. He didn't do very good in New York. Okay, well, that's fine. But sometimes you have to fail in order to succeed. And I feel that he didn't have any really weapons at that time. He was there. So, I mean, Jets offense has always been malaligned anyway. So
let's argue here, that. Like, my bad. I'm sorry, B.
So, I mean, if he's going to come in here with a better offensive set. And
interesting.
They're not going to get Ashton. They ain't going to do that, Robbie.
Tyson.
I just don't see that.
That's riveting.
Brees got a lot of game, man. I like Brees.
Very, very.
Although you never know in a draft, people do dumb stuff. But anyway, but going back to Morton, I mean, he's got his players. He's got a great offense. He's got a great offensive line. Still the top 1 to 2 offensive line in the league. He's got a great quarterback, outstanding wide receivers, and outstanding running backs. So, I mean, you really got everything you need. Even if you were just coming out of the gate, you're allowed to make a couple of errors because you have that team around you as an offensive coordinator to make those kind of mistakes. So, and then the defense will be there. And I'm thinking Shepard is going to be a better defensive coordinator, in my opinion, than AG will because he has more of a solid grip. And linebacker coaches tend to have a better grasp of the defense than most defensive players that go into the coordinator position. I used to think it was the cornerbacks because cornerbacks can see the whole field most of the times, or defensive backs in general. But linebackers are there to separate the backfield and the line. So hey, you do this and you do that. And once, Shepard was a linebacker. So, I mean, he's only going to do what he feels as a linebacker it should be done. And that would be beneficial. It's beneficial to your linebacking core, who I feel that is probably, to me, the weakest link on this team. If there was a weakest link as a defense, the linebacking core, because they got to get their stuff together. I heard that they may go into a 4-3 situation, which I don't think would be beneficial for Aiden. But then they don't have anybody to cover anybody coming out the field. Lions never draft linebackers that cover anybody, so they have to start doing it. And they might do that. You never know. They might if they go to a 4-3, they might do that. So
I think the fact with Shep that he is the linebacking coach and he probably got the most out of his position than anybody else on the team. He's going to utilize his guys in a certain way that we probably haven't seen because, AG being a secondary guy, not to knock AG or anything, but when you're a secondary guy, you're probably not thinking of linebackers all the time. But when you're a former linebacker and you coach the room and you're now the defensive coordinator, oh yeah, you're going to have some linebackers doing some crazy stuff.
You know something? You know something? I'm not sure which one of you guys said that the linebacking core was the weakest link, but I think that our linebacking core is probably one of the strong suits, if you think about it, with Anzalone, with Campbell, with Barnes, Rodrigo. Those are some good players, right? Like all three of them, I think, could go to just about any team and start on their team. Now, they may not be the best on the defense, but they start. I think that you can move Anzalone around. You can see he can blitz and he can cover as well. And I do think that Shep is going to utilize them a little bit more and not just always have them blitz, but drop back into coverage. stay put, and if the running back is running straight at you, go knock his head off. I think Shep is going to be a good defensive coordinator, man. Seriously.
Yeah.
And
I mean, when I say you're misaligning my comment about it's the weakest link on a defense compared to the defensive line in the secondary. Secondary only got stronger in the offseason,
right?
On paper, at least. And the defensive line is strong to me. All they really need, like I said, is a defensive end. Even if they get a defensive tackle, right now I don't even care. Let Brad Holmes do what he got to do.
You can add more. You can add more depth. Yeah, exactly.
Right, you can add more depth. I mean, and it might be a starting because Aleem's not going to be back for a while after the start of the season. So we need somebody sitting by DJ Reader, and DJ Reader is old man Rivers on the defensive line right now.
He's all right. He's all right.
Aiden Hutchinson's probably going to have to get his feet back in the dirt, and it'll probably take him maybe a couple games to do that. So you want to have some pressure on the opposite side as well. So if they go defensive end, they go defensive tackle, whatever. Put Muhammad over there. I don't care as long as you got somebody to alleviate the pressure coming from that side. So Aiden Hutchinson doesn't feel like he has to win a game defensively all on his own.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got a question.
What better way to?
Oh, go ahead. Go, Jay.
Really quick, I was just going to say, what better way to make Shep's job easier by adding more people on that defensive line, being able to rush, being able to cause havoc on the front.
Playmakers, man. We just talk about adding playmakers. Like for a young defensive coordinator, giving him as many assets and as many chess pieces as possible is only going to make him more successful in his transition a lot easier.
100%.
B, I got a question for you on Johnny Morton because I'm kind of curious about this one. So Johnny Morton was on the Lions staff in 2021. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, was that before Dan named Lynn the OC that he left?
I think at the time Johnny was in a lesser role.
Okay.
Oh, they already had Lynn as the offensive coordinator. I mean, he already promoted him. I think Johnny Morton was in a lesser role at the time, and the only reason why he was on the staff is because Dan had familiarity with him since he was under Sean Payton. John Morton was and then it's where Sean Morton went back to once he got off this team. He went back to Sean Payton, and he's come back over here. So, I just think that was just he didn't feel.
Did he go to the Jets before the Lions?
No, he was at the Jets before. Yeah, he was in the Jets before the Lions.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then when we got him, he was in a lesser role, obviously. And then we had Lynn, and then he was already kind of bringing Ben Johnson into that position of OC before he left and went to Sean Payton in Denver. So I mean, he's got the gifts. But at the same time, it's like,
why did you keep him in the first place? That's my question.
Right. Well, I mean, I think he just wanted to go back to Sean Payton to get more seasoning from
he got promotion. Coach. He got a promotion. Yeah, he wasn't going to be OC with the Lions. Lynn was the OC already. Right. But if he saw, all I'm saying is if he saw something in Johnny Morton early on, they seem like they have really good ties with each other. You would have thought that he would have been the OC over Lynn. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing I'm kind of questioning. Like, why you? I think in the beginning,
I think what it was. I think Anthony Lynn had a bit more experience though, because he was a head coach, and Lynn he came from the West Coast. He was a head coach. He had a nice team with the Chargers. I don't really.
And
know
he was big on the running game too. That was
so I think that right then and there for the Lions at that time, I think that was probably the best fit at that time. And like B said, he probably wanted to get a bit more seasoned, go on to Sean Payton and learn a little bit more because he mentored our guy, Ben Johnson. That's where Ben Johnson learned a lot of stuff from. And, I think Johnny Morton right now is the best fit for us. He knows the team. He knows the head coach. He has a lot more pieces than what he did in 21. And, I mean, you went out there, you learned, you failed. Now you can come to a place where it's a winning culture. You got a bunch of pieces that you can use, and you can actually run your style of offense and be encouraged, be embraced. And I that's just my take on it, though, man.
And another thing too, and the haters will say this when we talk in the debate about it. The reality is that we still have all our players. Like our players didn't leave. Like people forget that. Yes, coaching matters. Yes, scheme matters, but players matter more than anything. You got to have the players to execute.
Yeah.
Like, if Ben Johnson wants to be a great head coach, he's got to have good talent around him. He didn't have that. That's why they had to go get it.
Yeah.
And they're still adding stuff because they don't have it right now in Chicago. He doesn't see that. Like, if you have that kind of talent, you're not making changes. You're saying, okay, we're rocking with whoever we have. You didn't have that, so you had to go get it. Yeah. So the Lions have it. This hasn't gone anywhere, and it's only going to get better. Gibbs is going to enter his third year. Laporte is entering his third year. J-Mo is entering a soon contract year. Amara is going to be Amara. I mean, sky's the limit for this offense. Like, it really is. Like,
I agree.
They still got all the pieces right in front of them.
This offense is well seasoned, right? Like, this offense is still really good. One of the top offenses in the league. And that talent didn't go anywhere. Like you said, the only person that they lost on the team or on the offense was Kevin Zeitler. That's the only person. That's the only person that I can really think of, like, off of my hand right now.
That made a difference, yeah.
Yeah.
And they played superbly well.
And, Nate, to back your point up, the players still have to go out there and play. So whether Ben Johnson was the best offensive coordinator or not, he had so many different options that he could utilize that it made him look even better.
Right.
The trick plays, the flashiness. You don't have to have that to have one of the top offenses in the league. You just have to go out there and execute and play.
Yeah. You got to have skills.
You got to have skills.
Before I make another comment on that situation, let me introduce to you our moderator for today. Hopefully people will show up here. I don't see nothing but her right now, but this is the pretty sports lady, Sonia Pearson. Give it up for Sonia.
What's up, Sonia?
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me on, as always. I hope everyone's doing well.
How you doing today? Did you go to
Thank you for being
church?
here.
I did online because last night I was grieving Duke's loss, so it's been a long day.
She filled the swear jar before church.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm usually there, but I did participate online, and I did take my communion. So thanks, Jay.
Well, that's good. Hey, it be that way sometimes.
No, convicted.
Hey, the fact that you owned up after that loss the way it happened last night, I give you props because when the Lions lost Commanders, I didn't want to talk to anybody for about a week.
Nope.
I didn't want to show my face.
I'm telling you, if I told you,
props to you, girl.
Yeah, I told B. Strill, if I didn't already agree to do this with you guys, and I didn't agree to, run the podcast this morning, I would have gone under a rock for like a couple of days. But I'm here, so
yeah, we appreciate that. And you could have gone under a rock. We would have totally understood.
Because we pretty much did the same thing.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Lions.
I stayed away for a week.
Yeah, but the only thing is, like, people were depending on me to show up. So that's why I was like, no, my word is my bond.
We appreciate that. I totally appreciate that. Definitely.
Thank you.
You're better than me because I couldn't do it.
Yeah. I've been like, hell with y'all, man. I'm out for a week. I told y'all.
So we're waiting for the rest of these sluggish NFC North people to get here.
Oh, they're not showing their face.
And I'm seeing people viewing. There was up to 6 people viewing at one time, so they're interested. But at the bottom right there, if you wanna join the show, I got the StreamYard link in there. Go ahead and just patch it in there, and we'll put you on there.
Let's
like
talk
I said,
football.
we'll just wait.
Yeah, we're ready, man.
Let's wait.
We're
if
ready.
we get to
Let's
that
go.
point, we
Guns
get to that
a-blazing.
point. Sonia will still need you as moderator because you need somebody to tell us to shut the hell up once in a while.
I mean,
So
I'll still hang out and talk with you guys, though. We can talk sports.
Yeah, we can
Of
do
course.
it. Yeah.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Always, anytime.
Yeah. So
But my comment. I'm sorry, Sonia. My comment on the coaching thing, though, I think the Lions do things on purpose. So they probably let John Morton go to Denver to be under Sean Payton so that he can be seasoned, he can get some more offensive knowledge. So when we need him, because Ben Johnson was going to be gone last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so
they saw the talent of Ben Johnson. They figured he wasn't going to be here very long.
It's a matter of time. So they got somebody in the wings, and that was John Morton. So that's good. I mean, I think that's what the whole plan was the whole time, so that we wouldn't be, oh my God, we need an offensive and a defensive coordinator, that kind of stuff. So they did a good job, I think.
And the fact that you go to Sean Payton, one of the best offensive gurus in the NFL, and Dan loves him like a father. like, that's great because, you're building those relationships. And also too, he had some success with Denver. Bo Nix played really well for that rookie year, and they had some pieces around him. And so I don't know what he's going to bring to Jared Goff necessarily, because I feel like Goff is already good, but he could maybe work on his turnovers, maybe, hey, hold the ball a different way, maybe, be more aware of your surroundings in a sense. But I honestly think like it should be a pretty seamless transition. I really do think, because offense is not hard to execute off. You have to skill players.
Yeah, and a lot of people kind of freak out. Oh, well, he isn't going to be Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson we don't need him to be Ben Johnson. We need him to be Johnny Moore.
We need
him to drop a
100%.
scheme that's going to be friendly to our players, right? Like, you don't want to drop plays that has J-Mo throwing the ball 20, 30 yards when you got Gibbs averaging 6 yards on the ground, right? You want to be able to utilize the players you have, right? Even if they're less explosive, where they're averaging less yards per carry or per play, but still can have a high scoring offense. That's something that's still good for the team. You that shows that you're gritting it out, you're grinding it out. You can still score when it matters. We don't need all the big flashy.
I'll go even farther than that, Jay. Move the chains. Who cares what you do? Yeah. Who cares what you do with explosive? Move the damn chains and score touchdowns.
Move the chains.
You do that, they'll love you in Detroit. Period.
Yes, 100%. So, for the people out there who see it and, well, he's not Ben Johnson. We don't need him to be Ben Johnson. No. Have your own identity. Have your
Ben Johnson was here for 2 years and didn't get us to the promised land. That's all I got to say. Change needed to happen. Man.
Simple as that. And it comes and go. Expect Johnny Morton to be in the same position if he is one of the top, offensive coordinators as well. Mm-hmm. Offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators, they don't stay coordinators for long if they do their job well. They always going to get a head coaching gig. They're going to have a bigger role because they think that this person is the leader. He can run my team. They can, do big things for my team. So, and that's why I think. Go ahead, Nate. Well, I was going to say that's why I agree with B as well. What he said earlier about Aaron Glenn. I think he'll have more success than Ben Johnson because they spoke highly of Aaron Glenn. They knew he was a leader amongst men. Aaron Glenn was. Ben Johnson, he just came out of like nowhere. I know players respected him, but they didn't rant and rave about Johnson as much as they did Glenn. It was all about Glenn and how he had a bond with his team and the defense.
100%. And there's a reason why he was rated the highest likable coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
That holds a lot of water if you look at the grand scheme of things. But let me ask you a question about Johnny. Do you think that the running game will see an uptick this year?
Absolutely.
Why?
Absolutely. Because we've seen what we have in our running backs, right? You got Gibbs, you got Montgomery. Those are the two best running backs, not best running backs, but the running back tandem in the league. You utilize that. Gibbs is something special. Gibbs is like a running back we haven't seen in a very long time. We know Gibbs can carry 6 yards per carry. Montgomery, he can go out and get 4.5, 5 yards per carry. You want to use that as much as possible. You have the hogs up front, whether it's Penei Sewell, Frank Ragnow, Taylor Decker. You have the guys up there that can move the linemen off the line of scrimmage and the running backs to carry the ball more. We don't need to throw it 35 times per game. That's never been in the Lions' repertoire. That's never been a part of their game plan.
Never should be.
So I do think you're going to see 15, 20 per carry in both Gibbs and Montgomery per game.
Yeah. What do you think, B?
That's just me, though.
You can, Sonia. Go for it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I literally agree with that. I mean, you guys have kept what's already there in place anyway. So just adding pieces is not, as long as you're not taking away from what's already there and you're just building on that. My only concern would be like, I'm still concerned about the OC being new. I know that's someone that, your franchise is familiar with, but, he's not Johnson. So I still feel like there's going to be a learning curve, at least a little bit, because of the role changes or what have you. And even they may find some of the players that they may try to fill in gaps in other positions that they may have never thought about. Because, whenever there's a coaching change, especially on those coordinating lines, you always have someone that comes in and sees something different in a player that another coordinator may not have seen. But you guys definitely gonna get your run game.
That is
efficiently.
That is a good point, because I do think there is going to be the way the cadences and the way they call the games and all that. The jargon might be a little bit different, but Goff is a veteran. Like, I'm sure he's heard a lot of the same stuff, and the NFL usually keeps things pretty similar. They just might use a different name for a certain thing. But yeah, I mean, the commonality with Ben Johnson, we had him for 3 years, right? 3 years? 3 years. You know, it's like a relationship. Like, when you're in a relationship for 3 years, all you know is that person. And then when you leave that person or they leave you, you got to start all over again with somebody new, and you got to learn and build that relationship. Now, the good thing is that in essence, in like the dating aspect, he was already flirting with Johnny Morton already. They just went somewhere else for a little bit, you know. And then as soon as Ben left, he called Johnny and said, "Hey, let's come back to Detroit and let's run this."
Let's
do
it.
So there's some familiarity with Johnny, but you know, it's gonna take a little time for it to really gel.
Yeah,
I think, and just remember on the fact too that John Morton does have experience at being an offensive coordinator. Like I said, he was an offensive coordinator with the Jets, and so of course he wasn't successful, but the Jets didn't really have good offense then either. So
or quarterback, right?
So coming to this situation is really good for him. I'm not seeing the only thing that I see that is going to be different about him and Ben Johnson is this Ben Johnson. Morton is probably going to be more focused on the run, where Ben Johnson was more focused on smoke and mirrors, the smoke and mirror game.
Yes.
And where everybody that's exciting to see. Okay, don't get me wrong. And it does get you in the way they were running everything. I've never seen so many trick plays run successfully in my entire life. Any football team, Super Bowl or any.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, the players bought into it, and they bought into it 100% and everything they were doing. But that's an aspect that's going to probably change because John Morton is not that guy. He's not that guy that's going to be a Ben Johnson out there. So that's the element we'll lose from that. But at the same time, John Morton will probably add more explosive running plays because he's going to probably – and I'm going to guarantee you that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be the starting running back this year.
I think he'd be the one to start the games off.
Is it fair to say, and this is no disrespect to Ben Johnson, but is it fair to say that Johnny Morton's maybe more X's and O's?
I would say he's more. Let me put it this, and again, I'm not saying it's not to a detriment of Ben Johnson either. Ben Johnson was an excellent OC. I would say to the point that I think that Johnny Morton will take it more seriously. X's and O's, where Ben Johnson was having fun with it, which is cool. That's what you're supposed to do as an offensive coordinator. But Johnny Morton is more solid. You know, he's more solid of a guy. He'll be like, hey,
he has more experience.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I don't think that he won't listen to Goff if Goff says, "Look, John, let's run a trick play on this particular down," because Goff is familiar with these things. He's familiar with the plays that Ben Johnson's run. So if he comes up to them, and this is the thing that I believe that is really good about the coaching staff in general. They allow their players to come up there and give them suggestions, and not laugh at them. You know what I'm saying? You're not an offensive coordinator, even if it's Amon or it's Jahmyr or JMO, or even on the defensive side, if it's Arnold, if he's seeing this kind of defense, he said, can we run this kind of defense because we got to do this? I think a lot of that, the player intake is really good on the Lions. And then on top of that, just to end that whole situation with the head coach, the OC and the DC, you still got Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell is the one that keeps this engine running. Let's face it. So I'm not. You might see a little bit of a drop off. I mean, we're not going 15-2 again. First of all, our division is too much. No. We got too many good teams in this division.
Yep.
And then we got to play the NFC East and the AFC North. So we got two divisions that are pretty tough in their own right. So I mean, I don't see a team in our division going more than 13-4 to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and like I said, I mean, if we go 12 wins, that's taking a step back. I'm okay with that because that's probably more realistic along the lines of what the Lions are expected to be around going forward. I think we can all agree on that. They're a 10 to 12 win team every year.
Mhm.
You know, 15 was an anomaly. I mean, that was a hell of a year. You know, I think we all expected to maybe lose a little bit more than 2 games. So, you know,
I
we
did have them
enjoyed
losing
it.
one less game. I mean,
I had 15
winning
and 2,
one less
so
game. I was at
different
14-3.
teams.
So
Yeah, I was
so-
like 11-6, kind of like.
Yeah.
You know, I was kind of flirting with that, but I want to throw that out there too. A lot of people, I don't want them to get panicked with the Lions lose maybe 2 straight, but they're winning outside of that, because it's hard to win in this league, and it's hard to maintain a winning status like that in this league. So 12 wins wouldn't be bad. 12 wins is a success. That's 4 straight winning seasons. Something the Lions haven't had in a very long time. And Dan Campbell said, he said that in his presser as well. Even if you lose an extra game or 2 and you got to go on the road in the playoffs, just get in the playoffs. Get in the playoffs and you can take it from there. And at the end of the day, it's not about your record once you get in the playoffs. It's about how tough you are, how you're going to play through your injuries and make it to the Super Bowl. Because if you don't make it to the Super Bowl, you're in line with the rest of them that didn't make it there, no matter what their record was.
You just want a chance at the dance. Like
you want a chance at that. That's all that matters.
And then let it play out and see what happens.
And I at first, at the beginning of the season when the Lions were winning, it was so beautiful, it was fun, but reality hit me when I used this analogy of remember the Patriots went undefeated in the season and then lost in the Super Bowl to the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
So you went 16-0, then you got your asses kicked by Eli Manning and the Giants, and it's just like all of that for nothing. It's about the Super Bowl at the end of the day.
Yeah,
that's what it's about.
Let me introduce you to Mr. Tipton.
How you doing?
What's good, everybody?
Thanks
How y'all
for coming,
doing?
Tip. Hi.
Good.
We're good. Our coward rivals did not want to show up. They felt too scared. So thank you for coming on.
Maybe they're just trying to get on here.
Yeah.
I sent an invitation to a couple of other folks too, just to fill out the plan.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Yeah. So we're just gonna talk some ball. So how you doing, Mike? Talk to us about the Cowboys, man. Give us some insight.
Is there anything else we can talk about? Because
talk about how UConn is blowing out South Carolina Lady Cox right now. This game
they are.
20
wow,
points.
Watching the game.
62-42, and it's the third
quarter. Let me see.
UConn ain't BS, and I'm telling you, that's why I was kind of, when we made our predictions yesterday, I was like, I see UConn whooping
them girls
their
play
behind, but
them girls can play.
It's a
the thing about with Paige is chasing history because she wants to be in the Breanna Stewart, the Deanna Taurasi names, and she's got to win a ring. Like that's the knock on her. Is like she's so great, but she's got to win the ring. And when she wins the ring, then she's up there in the Mount Rushmore with the Maya Moores and Stewarts and Taurasis of the world.
Caitlin Clark left her in good hands. She's continuing the Caitlin legacy there. I thought that last year at the draft, I saw them and I was like, that's a legacy. It's now 23 points. They are beating.
Yes, 65-42.
I do apologize to our viewers. We're expecting a NFC North debate, but it seems like our NFC North foes have decided they weren't going to be on this show, even though they all gave me confirmation. So
no call, no show.
I'm not going to be like that one guy that's going to be like, hey, I'm going to call y'all out. Not doing that because you know what? I'm a professional. I'm not going to do that.
Well, I'm not a professional. I'm a guest on here. So can I say that they losers just like they already are? So just they losing out today?
We already do that, Sonia.
We already knew that. Back-to-back division title winners buddy.
When they're looking up.
Right.
and here's the thing. And I said this in many shows before. When you have to make so many moves like the Vikings did, like the Bears did, the Whackers haven't done anything, which is not surprising. They never do anything in free agency. Mm-hmm. They always just stay with their own. But when you have to make those kind of moves in the offseason and spend a lot of hard-earned cap money that's going to come back and bite you in the butt later in the long run when you sign these young players, that means that you're chasing somebody. Mm-hmm. And you're chasing these. Mm-hmm. Because we ain't going anywhere, y'all. We're still a young, fun team.
Just to play devil's advocate here, like you got to like what Chicago's doing, man. Like they saw some need.
Yeah.
They said we got to.
But they had to do that to get to our level. They had to do that to get to our level. That's my point. Is like,
yeah, but I mean,
chasing
every team
us.
has to do that. The Lions had to do that to get to the level they're at now. Like, this is how you build. You can't hate on a team
Sure.
for building.
Absolutely.
But
I agree with that
but
100%.
The one thing I will go back on that one is that they're doing it the wrong way, because you're having to bring other players from other teams and get them to buy into your system rather than drafting and developing your own homegrown talent.
Who's your quarterback again?
Well, come on, man. I mean, majority of our team is homegrown. So the thing is that you want to grow your own talent, because the thing is, when it comes to signing these guys, it's going to get expensive. And when you put a lot of that money into other guys that you have to overpay in an aspect, now you're not going to be able to keep those other guys. Look at the Eagles. The Eagles had lost 8 guys on defense because they have a lot of young homegrown talent that they're going to take the bet on and say, you know what, we can rock with these dudes and let these other dudes go and get paid somewhere else because they draft so well. When you're the Bears and Vikings, you're spending your hard-earned cap money on guys who you didn't develop. You're hoping and praying that they fit with what you're trying to do. But now you're putting yourself in a situation to where later on, if your young dudes develop and they want to get paid, hey, now you got to choose.
I agree with that to some certain aspect. I look at what the Vikings have done. I think they're filling holes that they clearly had. I don't think they're just kind of revamping their whole team. Chicago, I think what Chicago did was Chicago has an already established team. It was 2 things that was really plaguing them. That was their offensive line, with their quarterback being sacked 65 times. So they had to go out and get right. So had to go out and get they were desperate for help, on the offensive line, and their coach. They got the hottest name for the hottest quarterback in the league in Caleb Williams, a rookie quarterback that's expected to do good things. I'm not hating on what they did, and I agree with you, Nate, but I also have to say I think what they're doing, they're closing the gap. Now, are they better than the Lions? I still don't think so, but they are definitely trying to close the gap to where, we don't expect to just take the division by week 6, week 7, like, a lot of people thought that they were. It's going to be very hard.
My question would be, they had, what was it, $160 million in salary cap that they could have spent. So you're saying don't spend it? Like that makes zero sense. Like, you got
they gotta spend 89% of that anyway.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, Mike, is when you're spending that kind of money on players that you didn't grow, it's because you're missing in the draft. And we can agree that the Vikings and the Bears have missed a lot in their drafts. Just pull up their drafts in the past, and they have not hit on a lot of players. So when you don't hit on a lot of players, you've got to go sign players. And that's the problem, is that stuff becomes expensive in the long run. Like, no offense to the Cowboys, but like the Cowboys are in that same situation. Like, you haven't hit on a lot of draft players because you guys, I don't know why y'all don't hit on draft players, to be honest with you.
I would disagree with that completely. I think the Dallas Cowboys are always pretty decent in the draft. It's free agency that people always talk negatively about the Dallas Cowboys with, that the Dallas Cowboys don't go out and spend money, right? So, like, up until
they don't have the money to spend.
But up until this year, the Dallas Cowboys didn't spend more than $6 million on any free agent over the last decade. So it's not like they're out there spending a ton of money in free agency. What they're doing is they're doing what you say. They're building a homegrown team. They're spending money on the players that they already have. Now, a lot of the contracts might not be great because Jerry Jones waits to the last minute to get the contract deals done. But like, there's no right or wrong way to build an NFL franchise, because I'll rebuke what you have to say with this. How far did that get your team now? And now your team has lost offensive and defensive coordinators. They're going to start losing players as money comes up to become an issue. Like, that's all about sustaining that growth.
But when you have a guy who is good at drafting players, I'm not worried. Like,
but Jerry Jones was the executive of the year 2 years ago.
Why?
Because of what he did in the draft, because of how well the Dallas Cowboys have been ran as an organization. And I can sit here, y'all already know, nobody hates on the Dallas Cowboys more than I do. I hate that I love that team.
Speak the facts.
Yeah, like they've missed on a lot of windows, right? but you can't say that this team hasn't done what they needed to do in the draft. Like they've done really well in the draft. That's where their bread and butter is. It's free agency that they get made fun of all the time because they don't spend in free agency. They just don't. This year was the most that they had to do.
Yeah, but even last year they were they spent the least amount of money last year too. So I mean,
because they spent all their money on their homegrown players. They're paying Dak Prescott. They're paying CeeDee Lamb.
Well, yeah, I mean that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, you can't overpay those kind of players. I mean, Dak is good, but he's not $60 million worth.
But that's what your quarterbacks are going for. Like that's market value.
Competition, yeah.
That's market value, and that's why we look at Jared Goff's contract as good because look at the quarterbacks who got extensions after Jared Goff and how much they got paid.
Yeah,
and we look at that as a bargain. Look at Jordan Love. It was even for a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
Jordan Love was the highest paid quarterback in the league.
Yeah, I think that's what it is too. I think Jerry Jones. I think he does a decent amount of a job most of the time. But this signing everybody near the end of the off season stuff has got to stop. He's got to start making his players more available because what he's doing is now he's overpaying for everybody because a quarterback got signed at the beginning of the off season, and they're going to have to go off that because that's what their quarterback, is a quarterback market.
And also look at Micah Parsons.
Yeah,
and look at Micah Parsons.
That's the issue with Jerry Jones. It's like instead of being the guy that sets the market, now you're reacting to the market.
Exactly,
right?
And that's
the issue with them.
And that's the difference between Brad and Jerry Jones. Brad has the balls to set the market and say, you know what, this is what we're going to give this guy, and then everybody else is going to sign him ahead of him, and before you know it, this guy is going to become a top 10 player that's paid rather than a number 1 player that's paid. You've got to have some risk in what you're doing, because if you are the last person to the table, you're going to get whatever's left. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are hungry that you got to pay, and now the price is 10 times more than what you probably wanted to pay him in the beginning.
And thank you to Fire Marshal Bill and Brent DeWitt for chiming in as well.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you guys want me to answer that question?
Yeah, there was a question that was.
I agree, Fire Marshal. That's top 10 money right there.
They wanted to know about George Kittle, and I wanted to talk about that real quick.
Yeah. Brent.
Hi, Brent. Thank you so much. By the way, this game is definitely a wrap. It's a 30-point lead now.
Yeah.
It's getting worse.
It's over. It's the O. It's
78 Poor Don Staley, man. Poor Don
78 to 48, and it is.
And I hate to say this, but Tip, just let me know what you're doing next year on your NCAA bracket so I can copy it.
Yeah, don't even encourage.
Because you caught that one. You caught that one too.
You pick UConn.
I did.
Well, hang on. Hold on. I just want to attack Tip real quick because last night you saw it, Nate. He was ridiculous. Jay, you may as well just join our chat too. We just added Nate so he could see how I'm abused sometimes. I don't know how that happened, but I left the conversation. He started adding clips of me and stuff when I was talking about getting my Duke shirts lined up, and it was like putting the clips in there. I'm like, this dude got time to go back to get clips from my shows and put them out there.
I think in that group chat, I have heard or read the words "I got receipts" more than I've seen in any other group.
I don't even use that.
Oh, and then the person that does that is
that don't be from me.
A Giants fan.
Exactly. I never say I got receipts. I never say that.
Me up, man.
Okay, let me ask you this: if Duke wins yesterday, what's the conversation like?
Oh, what?
She's talking up Duke. She's talking up Duke.
She's not wearing a shirt, that's for sure. She's wearing her Dookie shirt.
That's what I'm saying.
And then I screenshot where I had just ordered some new ones. And they're on the way. And I'm like wanting to return them.
I gotta return the hoodie.
But no, the hoodie. I'm like, I don't even want it. It's not even
the reality too of this game, this women's game, is like both teams are really good.
God, it's now.
So you could have flipped the coin and picked either one.
UConn, man, I feel like UConn's girls are always a powerhouse, man. UConn girls, they're just crazy.
It's now 80 to 48.
Yes.
Dude, I'll be pissed off.
They still got another quarter. They about to put 100 up on these girls.
I'd be pissed.
All I gotta say is I'm here for you, Don Staley, if you need me.
I love her.
Seriously.
And let me tell you, but going back real quick, Tip last week said he had Duke and Florida in the finals. At the last minute, he changed it. Was like, I don't want to jinx it, so I'll go with Houston.
First off, I had Duke and Texas Tech in the finals. And then whenever all of us the other day, all of us were doing our picks, I said, you know what? I ain't going to do it.
Right.
All of us jinxed it. All five of us.
Well, whoever it was, you had them against Duke, and you switched and you jinxed it, and you're the reason we lost. And
Texas Tech was that close.
Yeah, I told
Texas Tech was that close.
Tip, don't even just take that grain of salt with you, brother.
Yeah, she'll go off more.
Yeah, you freaking quick. I told Strilla and Nate, I said, I'm going to kill Tip. They will show you. I texted him, I am going to kill him.
It's premeditated. It's premeditated, not heat of passion anymore.
Take one for the team, Tip. Take one
really
for
quick,
the team.
Sonya.
I
I got a question for Sonya. How do you feel about Cooper Flag?
It's coming back.
Give me your honest thoughts.
I love Cooper, but I think that call they gave on him was bullshit. And because they showed the replay and it was the opposite. And basically that's when I knew the game was a wrap. They already up 1 point and they just got a foul for 2. I turned the TV off.
They couldn't hold on to the league. They couldn't hold on to the league.
Inbound.
You can't even bounce a pass. You can't even bounce a pass twice.
Yeah,
2
times.
I'm telling you.
Like I said before, defense wins championships.
And dumb passes win games too.
Cooper Flag said last week that he wanted to come back. And you guys have to remember he's only a freshman. I forgot about that.
He said he wanted to come back.
Run it back.
Yeah, how old are you got to be to go into the draft? I thought you had to be like 21.
You can go right now. You could be in high school.
19, 20.
NBA
like
don't have the
19,
same
right?
rule.
You can do one and done.
He is a freshman in college.
Mm-hmm.
He'd be consensus number 1 if he came out right now.
He'd be number 1 next year too. He'll be number 1 next year too.
But that's the thing, right? Is like potential earning ability. Right now, you're the number 1 draft pick. You get $12 million in base salary. You're gonna have all your NIL people are gonna follow you, right? Like all of that. You're probably gonna increase your value on that right now. You're making 4.5 in NIL.
Free throws. I know. I'm just like all the stuff they did in the last matchup. They did the opposite this game. It's like the thing is too big.
The thing is with Cooper Flag is look at who
you petty Brian.
I know.
Look at who he's going to go to if he gets the number 1 pick.
Wizards or Charlotte. Yeah.
Utah, Charlotte.
San Antonio.
All 3 of those teams no, not San Antonio. All 3 are garbage. And the reality is that he could go back to Duke, be on a loaded roster with the Boozer brothers coming in next year. FYI, Gatorade Player of the Year. She knows about that. Boozer brothers coming in. You're talking about a freaking run like nobody's business of talent. Like he would be on a stacked roster and still probably be number 1 pick.
Even next year, you know who's still going to be drafting up at the top, like with at number teams. 1, number 2. It's going to be Washington. It's going to be Utah. It's going to be Charlotte.
Possibly, yeah, that's possible, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Thanks for that question, Jay. Let me just address this George Kittle situation.
Yeah, address George Kittle. Let's
real quick. So it was not clickbait. I've looked into several things, including some Panthers writings, and their teams are speaking. You can giggle all you want with Shopping Center as your head coach. They're basically saying the 49ers are not confident.
Shots fired. Ding!
Yes, they're not confident. You know, George Kittle is 31 years old. They're not confident because of their financial situation that the 49ers are already in. This is the last year of his contract anyway. Yep. And the fact that the Panthers are actually looking for somebody that's got Kittle's blocking ability and receiving skills. Like, we definitely need that to help develop our offense. The 49ers are hesitant to extend that contract because of his age and the cost that the new contract's going to bring. And that's why they're possibly considering or whatever.
You know what?
Something really quick.
Go ahead, Jay.
Really quick. You know something? I don't know if the 49ers are going to be hesitant to signing him. Would it make sense when you got Brock Purdy? You know, we seen kind of what Brock Purdy is without a lot of his weapons, whether it's Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Kittle. I think that Kittle is possibly the best player on that offense. He's always been a safety blanket, whether it was for Brock Purdy or
He
Garoppolo,
is the
whoever was
best player
starting
on
that
that
quarterback,
offense,
you
hands down.
need to keep
Yes.
him. If I'm Lynch, I'm doing everything I can to make George Kittle. Here's a blank checkbook. Let me know what you want. We need you here. We need you for our quarterback.
So this tells me one or two things with the 49ers. Either A, they're about to make Brock Purdy the highest paid in the NFL, or one of the highest paid in the NFL, and that's why they want to move off Kittle. Second of all, are they considering blowing it completely up and not signing Brock Purdy because he wants to get paid like one of the highest in the NFL, and they're just going to go full rebuild because they've got rid of a lot of their team?
That's what I thought.
I just don't think that. No, they're not going to do that. If they're going to sign Brock Purdy, they need somebody there to be a statue of stability. That's Kittle.
Right, yep. But if you trade him, that sends the message that maybe they will move off of Brock Purdy too and just redo it.
I don't think they move on from Brock Purdy because look at the past couple years of what they've done, right? I mean, you had Jimmy Garoppolo. You traded up to get Trey Lance. It didn't work. You went out. You brought in Brock Purdy. I mean, I'm thinking that they're a little bit tired of the quarterback carousel. And as long as you insulate your guy, you can have a manageable team. They don't have to go out and have the best sexy quarterback out there. You want to be able to just have a person that's functional in your offense and that can run that type of offense that the San Francisco 49ers like to run.
But the problem is, Jay, is he's not worth $55 million a year. Exactly. He's not even worth $45 million. Like 45 would be the cutoff for him because of his injuries, what he's had, and the production he's had with even with his talent or without his talent. Like, you're overpaying him if you pay him more than 45.
Does he get the market value though? Are we 100% in agreement that he will get the market value though?
I wouldn't give him.
He will, because it's not about what we think he should get. Right? It's about what the market
in the NFL is.
Yeah. Well, it's whatever the GM wants. The GM's already said they're not going to pay him more than 45.
I think a tornado's in my area. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back, guys. I'll be right back.
Right.
Oh, well, okay. All right. What I'm saying is that are they going to just say, hey, you know what? Yeah, just because right now Dak Prescott gets $60 million and, you know, Joe Burrow's getting 58, 59, or, you know, are we going to do? I just don't know.
GMs don't think that way, dude. They think that we gonna pay him for the value that he's worth.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care what the market says. They see the market and they say, okay, fine. Dak's making the most at $60 million. You know, Jared Goff is making $53 million or whatever.
I don't agree with that at all, because if that's the case, Jordan Love wouldn't have got the money he got.
That's the Green Bay.
What a quarterback
but
market
that's Green Bay.
Yeah.
See, I disagree with that. Green Bay felt that they wanted. They felt like he's worth the money. They'll pay him.
So what you're saying is one team can feel this way about their quarterback, but the other team's not going to feel that way about their quarterback who got them to the Super Bowl twice. Come on now.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about what has it led to? I mean, like look at what he's
led to them being in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but they're depleted. Look at how he's played without all that weapons around him. He didn't do shit. He was terrible. I mean,
you look at it like this. I'm looking at his last 3 years. This is his stats from the last 3 years. He's had a 67.5 completion ratio, which is pretty good. Average NFL completion ratio. 9,518 yards. By the way, that's more than Jordan Love has in his 2 years. Let's see. 64 touchdowns.
Got overpaid. We can all
64 touchdowns, 27 interceptions. He also has his best year quarterback rating, according to Pro Football, is 72.8. Or I'm sorry, 104.9 is his average. So and believe me, that's up there in the last 3 years of quarterbacks in the NFL. So he has been productive. His quarterback rating has been high. So he's obviously getting the job done. But like I was talking to Jay earlier about that, or one of these times I was talking to him about that. It's the fact that, when it comes to it, like both the Minnesota games they played last year and the year before, they lost because CMC wasn't there, or CMC and another player wasn't there.
Ayuk wasn't there.
You have to, as a quarterback, you have to prove that you can win games without some of your best players. And I think that's where Purdy stands at right now. He does not win games with some of his best players. So I think that's a situation that why people think he's, why we say he'll get overpaid, and he probably will.
Game.
But the point of the matter is that he's not worth that in our mind, because what we see out there in the field in those situations,
That's game 82-59.
Game.
Woo.
Really quick.
Down.
Really quick. Sonia, is everything good?
We got a tornado watch. Yeah, I saw it go across the TV that basically said one had been spotted, but not in my area. I'm in Atlanta, but one has been spotted south of here. So I'm already downstairs, and like if y'all see me,
you gotta take care of stuff. You do your thing,
do
girl.
your thing.
Be safe.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if an event you have to get off, do your thing.
My downstairs bathroom is right in front of me. I got my pup here, and if y'all just see me go pew, you know what it is. So.
You're good. The thing is too is I think another reason why they'll probably will pay Brock Purdy what he's asking for is there's nothing out there as an alternative.
That's true too,
and that's a bad thing, because when you have to pay somebody because nobody else is out there, you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, right? Because now you put yourself in that situation where, look at the Steelers. Like the Steelers, their only option now is Aaron Rodgers. If they don't get Aaron Rodgers, it's Mason Rudolph.
It's horrible.
Or it's a rookie, and they're going to be god-awful garbage. Like, sorry, Robbie, Mason Rudolph's not going to win more than 5 games this year.
And when that happens, this is going to be Tomlin's last season. Watch.
Yeah. He probably get fired.
I strongly disagree with that, because the Rooneys are
they are very patient.
He's never had a losing season.
They've only had 3 coaches in their whole history.
Yeah, he's gonna quit though.
Since Super Bowl history,
if it gets ugly, ugly with Steeler fans, and the Steelers are just god awful garbage, like say they win like 1 or 2 games, it's gonna be really hard to bring him back, or he's gonna want to come back. So either way, I think they're heading for a divorce.
I think right now,
even if they won,
Tomlin, it's his job to make that decision if he wants to retire or whatever. I don't think the Rooneys are going to fire him.
No,
he's had so many successful seasons in a row, winning seasons. Winning is everything in any organization. Okay, I'm sure that everybody on this panel would want a coach that at least got us winning in the playoffs every year. We might not have been successful, but if you're in that position every year to be in the playoffs,
and he got a ring.
It's almost like that's expected of them to go out and have a winning season, because he's never had a losing season. I mean, if we just came in and said, you know what, automatically we're going to win 10, 11 games, if that's an expectation, I'm pretty sure everybody will let have had that right there. Even if they went out and won 1 or 2 games, that's Mike Tomlin's job. Whether he, they're not getting rid of him. I don't even think he'll step down.
If Tomlin wins with Mason Rudolph and he gets another winning season, give that guy another extension and never let him go.
Not just that, like he gets to forego the whole retirement and all that stuff.
Exactly.
He's already in the Hall of Fame.
Build a freaking statue of his ass.
Since Ben Roethlisberger, since Ben Roethlisberger has been gone. I mean, he's held that team together, and they've been able to make the playoffs every season since then. So
they lost a couple people. They lost a lot of players. They lost Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Wallace. They lost a couple people, and he's still able to go out there and win.
He almost left a couple of seasons ago when his daughter got moved over to some college over on the East Coast, a little bit below Pittsburgh. We'll see.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting, because that division is so loaded with Pittsburgh. I mean, with the Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland. We don't know what Cleveland's going to do.
Let's be honest. Anybody you have at quarterback with DK Metcalf and George Pickens, and you got Freiermuth as like your tight end that you can just dump it down to, you're going to have some level of success. Like, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the player production is, you still have that OC who likes to run the ball. That's the other thing too.
And you got rid of Najee Harris.
And the OC comes into play with that whole situation, because he's a running backs OC. And if you're not making enough plays to those guys that you just got, that's going to have to force that OC to go into a better passing game, because now he's got 2 weapons, 3 really, that he can throw to. And then Jaylen Warren's not slouch coming out the backfield catching passes. So let's not forget about him.
Sonia,
Yeah.
I want to ask you about your coach, Dave Canales, because two reasons. A, he's a very young coach, and also two, he's Hispanic. And there's no Hispanic coaches in the NFL. Dave Canales is the first one. So hey, I mean, shout out. I mean,
well, we had Ron Rivera. He was Latin.
Oh yeah, Rivera.
Yeah,
And there's
Ron Rivera.
Flores won a Super Bowl with
Yeah.
the Raiders. I mean, come on.
Yeah, we tend.
But I mean, lately there hasn't been a Hispanic coach in the NFL that's especially of his age. Like he's very young.
Yeah, he's like
So-
nine. I think a year younger than me or something.
Yeah, he's super young. So talk to me about like what do you expect from Bryce Young this year? Like what is the expectation for Bryce Young? This will be a third year, right? Third year?
Third-
Mhm.
So this is supposed to be his booming year. This is supposed to be the breakout year for him. So what do you think is going to happen with Bryce this year?
So it's funny you said it. I was literally just looking at some contracts and
EST.
stuff like that. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Can you? I can hear you.
I'm sorry. I thought you guys were saying you can't hear me. It's funny you said it. I was literally just looking at some stuff about the Panthers while you were talking about all these switcheroos and people that don't have quarterbacks and stuff like that. Because sometimes I kind of like to do comparisons, especially after the Kittle talk. Even though honestly, I don't think Kittle's coming to the Panthers. Let's be clear. I mean, it made for a good headline, I guess, to stay relevant. But he's.
That'd be a hell of a sales job to George Kittle to sway him to go to the Panthers.
I mean,
Instead of him,
we just re-signed Adam Thielen, and I feel like we're still just banking on him right now. And then we still are waiting to see how our draft picks show up with Jonathan Brooks coming back from his injury. We never got to see how he really played. Xavier Legette, hopefully he tightens up his cell phone during the offseason because he had a lot of drop passes. So I mean, I'll just say Canales, and of course now with our general manager being Dan Morgan, and the fact that Tepper stayed out of stuff, I feel like this is Canales' second year. I feel like he used that first year to acclimate, to look at the style of his players, what they're used to, because he came from Tampa Bay, same divisional rival, but when you've played teams twice in the same season, you kind of get familiar with them.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. So basically, during the free agency, we did a lot of moves around to try to improve our roster, and we're definitely looking through the NFL draft. We're looking at picking up an edge. Some people have said we're picking up McMillan. Either one of those positions will be position will be great. Even Genty, but I don't think we're going to get him. But go figure. We are in need of a complete roster rebuild for like the 8th season in a row. This season actually is our 10th season since we went to the Super Bowl. So a lot of people are talking about that. And this is the season that is like, okay, they always say every team is, well, please don't take this personally, Lions, but I've always heard every team is built to go to the playoffs every 7 years, the way it's structured, your schedule and everything.
Yeah.
And like to the playoffs. I don't know if that means the wild card or what, but you're supposed to be there like every 7 years. We have not been. Yeah. So we got to upgrade our wide receivers. That wide receiver core is the priority there. Like we have to make sure that that's the main priority on the O-line. Improving the defense is also going to be secondary to that because we lost Shaq Thompson. He was the last of the original Super Bowl contending Panthers. He had been there with us 10 years, and he actually was the cornerstone of that defense. So some people are predicting the Panthers to really stack up in the draft with defense. Like we may go straight defense the whole draft.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, and that's fine as well. The main thing is our priority. Like I told you guys, 10 years. Man, we ready. We have lost. We haven't been in no wild card, no crazy card, no deck of cards, nothing. 2015, 2016. And before that, we were back-to-back, at least NFC South divisional winners. And so there are some concerns, however, because let me tell y'all, I mean, I have to address this. We have reportedly one of the worst fields in the NFL. That has come up I'm talking about for playing conditions.
I heard that too.
Over again, even all the way back to 2015 where the Seahawks came down there and tried to say that our turf had caused them to fall, and that's why they lost the game and all this kind of stuff. So back then we were just like, whatever, we're undefeated and you guys are just mad. And so it really wasn't. It really is. The turf is horrible. They did say that
Tepper, man, he needs to buy a new field.
Tepper, let me tell you, Tepper, since he's taken over this team, and I'm so glad he's been quiet lately. It has been the most dysfunction from every perspective ever. From a player's perspective, from ownership perspective, from a fan's perspective, from
coaches,
investors' perspective. Every way you turn. I mean, this dude has thrown drinks on opposing fans. He has knocked down. The drink was like what you guys know about. I don't know if you know. They had started building $1 million practice facility because right now the Panthers practice at Wofford College in South Carolina. Okay, Charlotte is like 2 hours from there, hour and a half. So it's both teams, it's the in between. Well, in Mint Hill, city of Mint Hill, which is right on the border, they started building this practice facility that was $1 million. And I do mean I saw the infrastructure, it was up. Because Tepper went into some misunderstanding about who was going to back the building up, and they ended up saying, hey, we didn't agree to this, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? He didn't go on a fundraiser to try to finish it out. He had it demolished. After over $1 million had already been put into it, it was his own money. He just demolished it. So now they're back at Wofford State College. We're like, why don't you take that money and get us a new stadium, or at least upgrade us, get us a retractable stadium. And they need to do something because they put the word out, and this is an insult, and I'm a PSL owner, private seat licensee. Tickets are going up. Why? Because y'all make up for the year that they sold for a cup of coffee? Is that why? I mean, because last season I have a ticket, and my Falcons friends always ask me if I'm going to go to that game. If not, people try to get the ticket from me when the Panthers play Atlanta. Well, this year I'm texting one of my friends, and they text back, "Oh, girl, don't even worry about the ticket. They just open the doors and let everybody in that want to come in off the street." What?
Now is that stadium publicly funded?
No. Well, no. So yes, and yeah. So it was Jerry Richardson before he was ousted, and to this day, nobody knows what Jerry really did. I really wish they just bring him back. Honestly, they removed the statue. All they said was inappropriate comments that he made to somebody. No one ever said what it was. He first, if he's removed for now, he has served his time. Bring him back now. He's innocent now. He served his time. They done threw the man's statue in the river down there and everything. They took it all up. They don't even have no statue of him no more. Literally, it's funny, but it's for real. They had his statue removed and like housed somewhere. So I'm like, okay, if it's housed somewhere, then go ahead and bring him back. Then bring him back. We went to the Super Bowl twice with him as the owner. No one, got drinks tossed on him, even though I do want to high five him for tossing that drink on that Jaguars fan, because I wish it was a Falcons fan.
What is going on with these owners, man? Like, you own the team, okay? Shut up and write the check. All right, that's what your job is to do. Shut up and write the check, and let everybody else do their job.
Let the players play. Let the coaches coach.
Exactly. You don't need to get on talk radio. You don't need to make all these.
He don't be out there no more. Don't nobody want to talk to him.
And that's the thing I don't understand about owners a lot of times too. And we were even guilty of this whole situation, the Lions. But it seems like the owners do not. If you're a businessman and you have a successful business, you should be you should trust the people that you hire to do their job. That's their job.
Yeah.
GM, coaching, and that's their job. So leave them alone. Just, if you see that the team isn't succeeding, then I can understand you making a business decision. But at the same time, don't put your 2 cents into it.
Yeah.
Your job is to pay for what the heck's going on.
I was just going to ask Mr. Tip here. How do you feel about Jerry Jones doing that?
Woo, honey.
Well, and you see, that's the thing, right? Is like there's times where I feel like I'm the Jerry Jones apologist, and then there's times where I feel like I'm also super critical of it, right? Like whenever he says we're going to go all in and we do absolutely nothing, well, come on now. Like you got to be better than that. But you can't deny the business acumen, right? Like the Dallas Cowboys have been absolute garbage for the last 3 decades.
Yes, sir.
And they are the most valuable franchise in all of sports.
Yep,
Right?
they are.
So he has done what he needs to do for the team, the brand of the team, for whenever the resale happens, whenever, right? Because it's one of the eventualities is that team is going to be sold at some point in time. They're just going to be worth too much money for the Jones family to just eat it, right?
Right.
But whenever you look at the on-field product, this is where it becomes one of those feelings with the Dallas Cowboys fan, like myself included, where everything winds up being like a mental health crisis and you feel bipolar because one week you're like, man, look at this roster. Look how good this roster is. You could have said that about the Dallas Cowboys last year, right? Look how good that roster was on paper. And then you saw them get on the field and you realized, wow, that roster's bad, right?
Yeah,
like
and then they suffered a couple of injuries too.
Losing Dak pretty much was huge.
You know,
I mean, because you had nobody behind him to,
No, Diggs did. He played last year, right?
Diggs. This was the thing I think I mentioned on Friday, right? Was the Cowboys, for whatever reason, all last year, they were never able to get the full complement of roster together, right? Like they'd get someone back from injury, someone else would go out. That person would come back, and then another person would go out. And that's kind of what it was. Like Parsons got hurt. Diggs was missing the beginning part of the year. Lawrence got hurt at the beginning part of the year as well, basically missed the whole thing. Once they get Parsons back, what happens? You start losing Odigizua. You lost, God, we were talking about him the other day. I got to get his mind 13, Overshown. You lost Overshown. Then you get Bland back. Then you lose Diggs. Then you get Diggs back and you lose Bland. And it was just a revolving door of injuries with the Cowboys.
You know what it is with the Cowboys, though? I think this is what it is. There needs to be a culture change in that organization. And unfortunately, Jerry Jones has his print is all over it. And that's the thing that's really stopped. Because really, you have it. The Dallas Cowboys have had the talent, Super Bowl talent, to get there through the past 3 or 4 years. I'm not counting last year. Last year was an anomaly. But the years before, they were always in the playoffs. They had a great season. They had great regular seasons. It can't get done in the playoffs.
Number 2 seed.
Culture change that has to be made in that organization. It just has to be made because these guys get in there and they're like, okay, I play for Dallas. All right. So,
it was like, no way.
That's what I'm looking at when I see the players on the field. It's not that they're not playing hard. That's not what I'm saying. They're playing hard for their organization. It's just that, you have like I keep trying to tell people about the Lions in the culture. This culture that we have now, I have never, ever seen in Lions past history, ever. So that tells you a whole bunch of how culture can change a franchise.
It's the mindset.
But you see, that's where the argument is going to be made on behalf of Jerry Jones, right? Is, okay, you could say the culture needs to change in Dallas, but they've been a successful franchise. They've been to the playoffs a bunch of times. You said it yourself. That roster was built like a Super Bowl contender 4 out of the last 5 years. Is it necessarily that the roster needs to change, or is it the fact that they've had some bad breaks from time to time, right? And and that's obviously that's the Jerry Jones apologist part of me, right? Then there's a part of me that says, you look at this team and you hear all the chatter that's out there, like how spoiled it is for you to be a Dallas Cowboy. You get everything weighted on you hand and foot, right? Like the fact that Dallas Cowboys had a B player ratings. I'm trying to see what's funny.
The Cowboys definitely need to call to saying this starting to stop with jerseys.
He just keep hurling the comments, boy.
Hey, he is going.
Waving the white flag already.
Tip, he's a Pittsburgh Steeler fan, so
he got his copy and paste comments already ready. He got his copy and paste.
I got a question for you. Do you think that this was
the reason why? And I'll get to the question right now. The reason why he's upset about Dallas Cowboys wearing white is because there ain't no such thing as white teeth in Pittsburgh.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dude.
Ooh, he said they black and yellow. Ooh.
Yikes. I like that, Sonia. Really quick though, Tip. I got a question for you. Like, how did you feel when Jerry Jones first let Ezekiel Elliott walk? Did you kind of agree with that? Like, we're not going to pay him top dollar and let him go test free agency market, let him just go.
Yeah.
So the fan in me was like, man, just let him stay, right? Because I'm old enough to remember watching Emmitt Smith in an Arizona Cardinals jersey, and it didn't feel right to me, right? I was like, that dude's done so much for your franchise, just let him stay. But I could understand why you're not going to spend the money on a running back that he was asking for, that Zeke was asking for at the time. And it took that reality check of going to New England and realizing, oh, I'm not that dude anymore, to coming back to Dallas and also realizing I'm still not that dude anymore, right? Like,
yeah, I was just going to say that.
Yeah,
just going to ask you that question too.
And I think that's one of the things that Jerry has been good at, is he could realize when it's time to let go of the talent, right? Like he did it with Terrell Owens, he did it with Miles Austin, he's done it with Ezekiel Elliott, he did it with Dez Bryant, right? Like look how quick Dez Bryant looked, like he aged like a banana, right?
Yeah.
Jerry Jones has been good at that aspect of it. It's just, it doesn't seem, once again, it's like the same thing I was talking about on Friday with the injuries, right? The Cowboys can have a great offense one year, and then the defense is absolute garbage. Then they have a great defense, and the offense is garbage. And whenever they're both really good, they just get beat up by the Green Bay Packers in the first round of the playoffs.
Like it didn't make sense that you're the number 2 seed. They were the number 2 seed at the time, right? And then you let the Packers come in last spot in the playoffs, and they came in and just
But that was the knock on the Dallas Cowboys at that time, was that they were just a really bad run defense, right? The benefit they had is that they got up on teams, and teams had to throw against them. So that's where Diggs and Bland were doing their best, was teams had to throw the ball against them. Once you get a lead and you can run on the Dallas Cowboys, you could run on the Dallas Cowboys.
Right. I think also too, when I look at the Cowboys' success or lack of success, it comes down to coaching for me, because Jerry Jones is the voice of the Cowboys in every aspect. Everybody bows down to him whenever he walks across the field or whatever. The thing is that the Cowboys' success that they've had in the past, they've had hard-ass coaches. Barry Switzer, Jimmy Johnson, guys that would kind of, go toe-to-toe with Jerry Jones. And I feel like
Barry Switzer was not that guy. Like there's all the talk from Troy Aikman was Barry Switzer was just letting everybody do whatever the hell they
were. Well,
Jimmy Johnson. I heard that too.
Okay, Jimmy Johnson was that guy.
Yeah. Jimmy Johnson went toe to toe with the Cowboys, with Jerry Jones.
But that's because the two of them had history together, right? Like they went to Arkansas together. They played football together. They were on the field together. You just wound up having two guys who couldn't agree on where team success comes from, right? Like it's going back to that Jordan documentary with the Bulls, where Jordan's like, oh, I'm the reason for the success. And Jerry Krause is like, nah, brother, I'm the one who built this team around you. The same thing with Bill Belichick, Tom Brady. Once you start trying to assign who's responsible for success, you've already set yourself up for failure in the future.
Yeah, exactly. And I got a question. Do you... My bad. Go ahead. Finish, Nate. My bad. I don't want to cut you off.
Let me just finish my point on this real quick, because I think this is a big question about the Cowboys with their coaches. Because outside of Jimmy Johnson, Jason Garrett, Mike McCarthy, Brian Schottenheimer, these are nice guys, but they're not dogs when it comes to coaching. And you look at the lack of preparedness, you look at the lack of execution, especially in the playoffs. Those all matter, because we can all agree that the Cowboys don't lack talent. They have a talented roster most of the time. And you should be able to host a Lombardi, or at least be in the Super Bowl with that kind of talent. So what's the next thing? It's the coaching. And the problem is that you guys don't have that coach that will challenge Jerry Jones. I've always said that I feel like all the coaches that the Dallas usually goes with are puppets. They're puppets to Jerry Jones. And until you can get that alpha dog that can come in and talk to Jerry face to face, man to man, you're not going to see that success on the field, because you're going to get these low-level coaches. And
then I would rebuke that statement with, you just said it right there. How can you go head to head with Jerry Jones and say, okay, you got to get me better, when your exact words were, this is a team that should be hoisting the Lombardi trophy? Jerry's giving you the talent. He's done everything you need. Everybody out there would want Jerry Jones, the GM and the money spender, to do that for their team. It's just the success hasn't been there for the Dallas Cowboys. So whenever you say you should challenge Jerry Jones, what are you challenging
What
him
are you
on?
challenging?
Well,
But the perception with Dallas is that Jerry Jones is the ultimate guy. I mean, true enough, he owns the team, and he is the decision maker. And yes, he has made those deals where he got the players and stuff like that. However, you at a coaching perspective, they're only limited to so much. And when you have that, yeah, you can throw a whole bunch of money at people to coach your team and just be bland. Okay, you don't have somebody that actually believes in the Dallas Cowboys that wants to come in there and take that abuse from Jerry Jones, because he's going to give you abuse. That's what he does to his coaches. That's all there is to it since Jimmy Johnson. And Jimmy Johnson didn't take that crap no more. He's like, get you. But the point of the matter is, I mean, you want to have somebody wants to come in here and do right by that, but they don't want to deal with Jerry Jones. And that's the thing that I see a lot in the coaching. You can throw money at everybody. That's great.
How about Mike McCarthy? Like, you know, Super Bowl winning coach. He's got experience with that. Jerry Jones brought him in thinking he could do like good things for the team. What do you think went wrong? Because Mike McCarthy has a pedigree of winning. He come from the Packers, you know.
And
what went wrong?
That's the thing that I was going to talk about as well, right? Whenever you talk about like Mike McCarthy, he had a 61% win percentage, almost 62% win percentage in Dallas, despite how bad it started and how bad it ended for him in Dallas, right? Like he was still there. Again, you want to talk about consistency? Every single one of us would want a coach that wins us 12 games, gets us to the playoffs every year, right? Every single one of us would take that.
That's true.
The fact of the matter is Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy, and this is what I said at whenever McCarthy decided he didn't want to be a Cowboys coach anymore, because that's what happened. Don't let anybody fool you. Mike McCarthy.
Oh yeah, he left. He
did 100%. Not want to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
For real?
Yeah. That's why the Dallas Cowboys were.
I thought Jerry got rid of him.
No, he wanted more money, and I think Jerry said no. I'm not giving you a longer extension, and so I'm going somewhere else, or I'm not retiring.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. If you're going to pay me, if I'm going to be here coaching this team, I'm going to take this abuse from you as the owner. I'm going to get paid. If you don't want to pay me, bye.
Yeah.
And that's exactly it, right? Like I think Jerry thought that Mike McCarthy was going to be there this upcoming season. I think all of us as Cowboys fans.
Oh, that's why they promoted Shopping Center at the last minute, because they didn't have a backup plan.
Shopping Center.
like I said from the beginning, the only reason he's the coach of the Dallas Cowboys is because Jerry Jones was caught with his pants down. That was it.
But
Mike McCarthy grew a spine. Mike McCarthy said, I don't want to be here no more. I can probably go coach somewhere else in the meantime.
But you said, okay.
Yeah. Where is he, though?
Oh,
he's not playing. He's not
get hired.
Yeah, he's taking a year. He's waiting for the right job. But here, let me bring this question to you, Mike, because you brought up a great point about Jerry. That you said Jerry sees things forward, like he sees things before they happen. Like, if he thought or felt that Mike McCarthy was going to walk away at some point, like, why did not interview Ben Johnson, or why not interview AG when they had the opportunity?
Jerry, God, it's so delusional.
I think it's more along like player evaluation is where Jerry Jones gets it, right? Like he's not used to a coach saying, I'm going to walk away. That was Jimmy Johnson and now Mike McCarthy, and we don't put them in the same sentence together very often, right? Bill Parcells didn't get to walk away. Wade Phillips didn't get to walk away. Jason Garrett didn't get to walk away. Now, Wade Phillips, Jason Garrett, they all had great success with the Dallas Cowboys, like really high win percentages with the Dallas Cowboys. They just weren't able to get it done. Jerry Jones was expecting that. Like, oh, okay, well, we can reach an agreement somewhere. And
Jerry running a mob. He forcing them to stay to when he say you go. He is a mobster. That's why he can't relinquish control. That's a mob mentality.
And that's what I was going to say too, right? Like Jerry Jones is an old man. When have we ever met an old man that wasn't stubborn? Like let's just be honest here. And the thing is, Jerry Jones had a ton of success early on. His style had a ton of
take a look at my monkeys.
3 Super Bowls, right?
Glory hole.
So even with all that success, he has in his mindset, I was successful at this time, right? Like that's his mindset. Is my way has worked to the tune of 3 Super Bowls. Every single one of us would kill for our team to have 3 Super Bowls in the last 30 years.
Sure, yeah.
Right.
And Jerry,
sure would.
And I think Jerry Jones, like you brought up a great point. Jerry Jones still lives like it's the 90s. Like that's like my mom. My mom doesn't believe in a smartphone. She still has a flip phone. You know, like some people just don't change their ways.
I had to pull my mom over from that. It was hard, and she still oof.
Right, but the reality is that Jerry has to understand that if he continues to stay this way, which it seems like he will, the reality is that you're handcuffing yourself, basically. Like you're not going to get better. Like, and I think we can see that with the hiring of Schottenheimer. Like that was a low level hire because nobody wants to coach the Cowboys. You know, like they don't want to deal with Jerry Jones on a daily basis.
They didn't go out and recruit anybody.
I don't think it's not.
I don't think
it's the fact that they don't want to coach.
Yeah, they didn't try to go get
They just
nobody.
don't want to deal with Jerry Jones. That's what it is.
They were lining up well, that's what I'm saying. But the Cowboys are Jerry Jones. So
and the messed up point about this whole situation too, this should be an eye opener for most owners with a coach saying, I don't want to coach the Dallas Cowboys anymore. That should be an eye opener to you saying, wait a minute, something's got to change around here.
Sure.
Because
I have to step away for a quick second.
You're good.
Fellas.
You're good.
Got to take care of something really important.
Just mute yourself.
Okay, yeah, we'll see you in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, it's something's got to change in that whole. Like I say, it's a culture thing too. It's just got to change. Something's got to change in that organization. Like I said, you can have winning seasons after winning seasons. Pittsburgh's going to come to this point too, with Tomlin, where okay, you're winning 15 years in a row, 16, 17 years in a row, but we haven't seen anything from it, and you still ain't getting us to a Super Bowl. You haven't even won us a playoff game, so. You know, it's gonna have to come to somebody getting fired or somebody knowing something. I don't know.
And that's the knock on the Cowboys is the Cowboys can be a really good regular season team. Mm-hmm. Everybody can use the word Super Bowl when they play in the regular season, and then like when they get to the playoffs, it's just like they're overwhelmed, they're dominated. It's like they forgot that they were so good in the regular season, and they take a dump. You know, it just and that's got to be so disheartening because. We saw that with the Lions. We saw that the expectation, the buildup, the Super Bowl talk, everything. And then we took a dump against the Commanders, you know.
And I think that's the thing, right? Is like it depends on how the team is able to bounce back from that. Like, is it a building opportunity? What is it, right?
Sure.
The Lions still have a young enough team to where there's the possibility that the trend goes up. But once that window shuts, how long is the window shut for, right? With the Dallas Cowboys, it seems like the window is never fully opened and the window is never fully shut. Like it's always just
it's correct.
I mean, but is it me or is there so many teams that are in that same situation? It's a very large amount. Like a couple seasons ago, everybody was giving the Panthers a hard time because we were like the worst team in the league. This past season, you got 7-8 other teams right along with us. And some of those teams, it seems like they've been rebuilding every single year. You cannot expect to ever get to where you're supposed to be if you're constantly changing coaches or quarterbacks.
Well, it's because you're not getting the right people, Sonia. You're not getting the right people.
Some teams every year they got one of the new positions, a new quarterback, a new coach, or a new coordinator. Every one of those teams that's in the top part of the draft right now, look at their stats and look at where they're sitting and look at the overall what's going on with them. Tennessee, Will Levis hadn't been there 4 years yet, 3 years. He came in right around the time Bryce did. Look, they got rid of Vrabel. There's a coach and a quarterback change right there. The Raiders, same thing. New Orleans, same thing. Panthers, same thing. Falcons, somewhere around. It's the same thing. So at some point, it's just like,
sorry.
There you go.
That was me.
I tried to help you out with that, B. Yeah, at some point, you can never get better if you are constantly changing. Now they say change is good, but constant changing is never good because there's no consistency.
And if you look at what the narrative was with the Dallas Cowboys over the last 15 years, right? It's they held on to Jason Garrett too long. And going into last year, it was they were holding on to Mike McCarthy too long. They should have let Mike McCarthy go.
Two gingers. Yep, two gingers.
Like that was the thing with the Dallas Cowboys is they're holding on to these guys too long. Now we're saying, no, you should have known when to get rid of these coaches. No one knows when to get rid of these coaches. Like, no one can say that Aaron Glenn is going to be successful in New York with the Jets, and no one can say that Ben Johnson is going to be successful in Chicago. Right? Like,
I think
wind up being.
I think it also too, you know, a lot of the success of coaches is based on rosters. Is your roster built enough for that coach to take you to the next level? Or is this roster going to hinder your coach in taking them to at least being relevant?
But that's a recruitment issue. That means you need to get people in there that know how to recruit.
They know how to scout.
It's a communication issue. If you don't have good communication with the head coach and the GM, that's where the issue lies in building any team. The coach and the GM got to be on the same page. If they're not on the same page, you're not going to be successful. And that happens so much in the NFL.
And they always say in the NFL or any sport, you either want to be up here or you want to be down here. You don't want to be mediocre.
That's right.
And you look at I guarantee you there's probably majority of the NFL teams are all mediocre. Okay.
And that's where my mindset with the Dallas Cowboys comes from, of saying I want them to be 0-17, right? Is because I've spent the last 30 years hovering around 500. Sure, they've had the good seasons of 12 and 13 wins. They've also had some 4-win seasons there, but they've never had a complete rebuild like we've seen San Francisco have, like we've seen a lot of these other teams have, where they have success. It's just been we're going to do like a half-ass rebuild, and whenever you half-ass it, you're not going to get the results that you want out of it. So for me, completely rebuild.
Absolutely.
I don't think Dallas can afford a rebuild, because the reality is, being in Texas, you know this, Mike, there's a lot of money that's made in that stadium, and a lot of Cowboys people pay a lot of money for season tickets for Cowboys games.
Yeah, I know some season ticket holders.
And they're still a very popular team to watch.
And they always will be, because it's not just about the football that's on the field. It's about the experience that's around the stadium. Like, if you've ever gone to a Cowboys game, it's that. And even whenever they're bad, you can look in there and there's a sea of Cowboys fans, because that's what it is. So I don't think
Arlington Stadium know how to fill up their seats.
Yeah, I don't think that it's going to be an issue.
And they travel too.
They travel.
Well, if they go 0-17, I don't think they'll be selling out games. I'll just say that.
Jerry Jones has done an excellent job as a businessman on the Dallas Cowboys marketing tip. He's put everything out there to make that team, and then winning the Super Bowls that they did in the 90s didn't hurt at all, obviously. And it's just that now the stuff is getting old. When you come into the 21st century, it's getting old. And I'm sure you still have the fanfare that you have for Dallas, but I bet you sales are creeping a little bit down. It might not be a big percentage down, but it's waning. Yeah. So it's time for Jerry Jones to understand that perspectives. If you're going to get good at business that way, you know, that you put the Dallas Cowboys on a map and they're America's team, you know, financially, one of the best run football teams. However, the product on the field at the end of the day is what's going to get you more money. And if you can't get to the Super Bowl in that amount of time, and you know, it, like I said, you know, I joke about it, but it's a fact. The Lions got more playoff wins than Dallas does in this century.
We've been terrible. We've been terrible.
Once our parents' age stop going to Cowboys games, because everybody I know that's like a season ticket holder, they are like my parents' age, and they travel to games, and they used to live in Texas, and they were. By the time you get the people that are 50 and under, which is okay, that's me, because I'm 50, and when you guys went to the last Super Bowl, I was in college. So once that cutoff is right there, it's gonna, you know, I don't know how they're gonna keep sustained fandom, because you can experience all you want. Heck, the Falcons got a nice stadium. That experience is amazing there. Their food is cheap and it's good. And I mean, I hate to say that I enjoy going to Falcons games, but I do just for the experience. And if they lose,
but the product on the field is not good. You have a nice stadium, but the product's terrible.
Yeah, but I'm not going there to support the Falcons. I'm going there just for the experience.
Well, I mean, but just imagine being a Falcon fan. Like, you got a beautiful stadium,
yes,
top of the line, but your team sucks.
Yeah,
like that's like us. Like,
But for me, it's a win-win because I go and I'm like, if they lose, I'm secretly cheering, even though the crowd around me.
I want that hot dog. I want that food.
Yes, and it's really good. So,
Mike, let me ask
y'all
you
really going for the food? My goodness.
Yeah, because I'm a Panthers fan. So I go when they play the Panthers, and of course I'm going to cheer for the Panthers. But I've gone to a few other Falcons games because last season or the season before, the Panthers were so bad I went into a depression. So I started going to Falcons games and rooting against them. And every time they lost, I felt great. And so I'm going for the food and for the experience.
So Mike, you something else.
let me ask you a question, Mike, because I this kind of was rattling my head. So Jerry Jones is about trust and relationships. He talks all the time about how he values the relationships with his players. He wants to do deals with his players. He doesn't want to do it with the agents, which I respect that. That's old school. Totally understandable. Why doesn't he make Stephen Jones the GM? Because that's his own blood. And let him get into that role of one day owning the team, but let him get some taste of take some of the weight off of Jerry Jones.
I think he does, though, right? Like, you can go all the way back to whenever the Dallas Cowboys drafted Zach Martin. That was Stephen Jones's decision to draft Zach Martin. So
right, but he's not technically the GM, is what I'm saying. Jerry Jones don't have a GM.
I don't think titles necessarily matter too much to the two people that are running the organization, right? Like with us, we care about that type of stuff. With the people that own the organization, the person who's ultimately going to take over the organization that's been working alongside his father for the last 30 years, I don't think the title of I'm the GM really necessarily matters. He's been in there making business decisions for the Dallas Cowboys for at least 15 years now.
Do you think that the owner is? Do you think it's good for the owner to be involved in player acquisition?
No, but
I agree.
But the fact of the matter is everyone wants to say, well, Jerry Jones needs to step aside and be the GM. If any one of us was in that position, we're never firing ourselves.
Yes.
Well, be the owner, stay the owner. I wouldn't say GM.
And you're talking about a 94-year-old guy that doesn't want to be giving up anything anyway. He's stubborn, so he's not giving up that team until, unfortunately, he passes away. And that's what's going to happen with Dallas. He's going to stay there until he's 120 years old if he gets to that point.
He'll find a way to just live forever. He will be a vampire running this team at 400 years old. They'll have a 430-year gap.
Yeah.
Is there even going to
head coach every 3 years? Still getting a new.
Is Steven even going to own the team after Jerry dies, or is it going to be in a trust or something?
He probably cut him out of it. He probably ain't even in the wheel. That's the surprising thing.
So it is right now, and this is the thing about the NFL. It's actually accessible, and I can send the link out there to y'all. Is that all of the owners have to have a succession plan, right? And the succession plan is a part of what happens with the team going forward. That's why, like the sale with Miami, Stephen Ross, the new owner that's coming with that, he was a part of the succession plan because everyone thought Stephen Ross was going to die like 20 years ago, right?
And that's what happened with Seattle too. Remember, they had to do a succession plan.
The Lions with the boards.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's the thing. So the succession plan for the Dallas Cowboys is basically the Jones family continuing to own it, but it's going to be Steven and his sister, I believe, are going to be the ones that are doing it. And that's kind of the way that it's ran right now. It's like a family-run business, similar to the LA Lakers with the Buss family.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just crazy being a Dallas Cowboy fan. Like,
tell me about it.
Like, yeah, I mean, I live in Texas, man, so I can tell you for sure. Like, every year, you almost have to lie to yourself about how good you're going to be, because you know that it's just going to bottom out in some aspect.
But isn't that every fan base? Isn't that what makes sports what it is? Is that we all factored in hope and we want our team to be as good as
we all can be slappies. We can all be slappies at a certain
it's making me depressed now. I was always a Lions, so I could be happy.
I really couldn't say that being a fan of the Lions for 47 years. I kind of knew they were going to be screwed. It was good when they had good seasons and stuff like that. It was a hopeful thing. But, you really, when you know what your franchise is about at that time and the culture of what they are, it's like, okay.
And not only that, not only that,
but
the
you have to look at
pick. And yet, not only that, but you have to look at the buildup of how the team is comprised. Like, when you look at the Lions, dude, we've sucked for years. There's no doubt about that. There's no hiding that aspect. However, when you put a competent regime in place, you see how quick of a turnaround you can make. Now, the thing is, how consistent can you be? And how good can you stay? Like I said before, and I told B this, if we're the Niners, the Niners went 6 years with getting to the championship, making the Super Bowl a couple of times, didn't win the ring, but if we're like the Niners where we're that competitive for at least 5 or 6 years, I'm okay with that, because that's consistency and that's winning and that's good brand football. Now obviously, hold up, I know what you're going to say. Obviously, we want the ring. I totally understand that. But you have to understand that so do 31 other teams. And the reality is that, if I had a choice of taking one good year and having a chance to win a Super Bowl, which means selling the farm and everything, putting all the chips on the table and trying to win that one Super Bowl that 1 year, or I had a choice of being consistent for years to come and being competitive for multiple years, I take the multiple years and have those chances still.
But you know something, Nate? My bad. Go ahead, Tip.
Well, what I was going to say is, you talk about a team being consistent. It has been the Dallas Cowboys. They've been consistently just in the middle, right? Like they've never been great. They've never been, a sucky team. They're just always seemingly in the middle. And that's where I'm saying what the Dallas Cowboys need to do is embrace the suck. Go that 0-17. Like, obviously, whatever it is, find your way that you've got to say, look, we got to break whatever this is that we're doing, because what we've done for 30 years. And I think their record right now is like just over 500 over the last 30 years. It's like might be 51% win percentage since 1996, right? Like, they have been perfectly consistent at being the most mediocre team in NFL history.
Right. And I think when you say mediocre and where I'm talking about, it's two different things. Like, I'm talking about contending for a Super Bowl. I'm not talking about being middle of the pack.
But that's also the thing that you were talking about, right? Is like, oh, well, my team was bad, and we knew my team was going to be bad for X amount of years. The thing is the Dallas Cowboys have never been bad. We always have that little window of hope. Once again, the window's never shut, the window's never open. It's just this big, and it's locked at that. That's just where the Dallas Cowboys
just jammed halfway open. It's just jammed.
I've called it purgatory. The Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, you're right. The 8-8 purgatory.
No. Now we can be 9-7. Okay, we can be 9-7.
9-7, 8-8. Yeah, exactly.
Hell, y'all.
And this goes to the fact that Jerry Jones. This goes to the fact that Jerry Jones is he's being like William Kelly Ford was when he was with the Lions. God rest his soul. But he just putting asses in seats. And because Jerry Jones is under the brand of Dallas, or he's created a brand of Dallas a little bit more, he's just content in doing he'll say that. I'm not content until I win a Super Bowl. He wants to win a Super Bowl every year, but that's every other 31 teams, like Nate was saying. However, at the same time, you're really in the business aspect of the situation. You're still getting paid. You're still making that money for Dallas. So do you have really any kind of plausible oomph to win anything if you're already making all that money? This is what I'm saying. You got to have an owner that cares about winning. See, Sheila just leaves everything alone. She says, Brad, do your thing.
But she's involved. She's involved more than you think with what she wants to be.
Her and Rob
Wood. But she stays out of the technical.
Well, Rob Wood's supposed to be involved. He's the other guy.
Yeah, he's the president.
He's the president. So, but Sheila basically she's not doing anything that Jerry Jones is doing. She's saying, look, I hired you, and Rob Wood's been there for a while, so he knows some things. But she said, look, this is a business decision. You guys know the business. She's come out many times and said, look, I don't know football operations like my predecessor.
She's like, what do you need? What do you need?
What do you need?
That's what an owner does. What do you need to get this to a winning franchise, to get us wins, to get us to the biggest game ever?
What do you need?
I
got money. What do you need?
Go ahead, Jay. I know you want to say something. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, really kind of just talking about what you said a couple of minutes ago about going to having just, a couple good years and, possibly making a Super Bowl. The ultimate goal is to win a championship.
Of course.
I'd rather win a championship now and be bad for the next 5 to 10 years because I've never seen that as a Lions fan. You know, I mean, good football, obviously, you know, you want to see good football and you want your team to always stay relevant. But like Sonia said, you know, if I can win a Super Bowl now and then have to rebuild for the next 5 to 7 years, I'll be cool with that because we're the only expansion team with, you know, team that's not an expansion team. They ain't never been to a Super Bowl.
And I understand that.
You know,
I get what you're saying.
I mean, we're like starved. You know, we're not like you're just hungry. We're starved of good football here in Detroit. It has been 60 years of mediocrity.
But I'd rather be competitive for years to come and have that chance of winning it every year. Rather than having that one hope.
Man, I'll take that championship. My grandfather is 91. My grandfather was a grown man the last time, like, you know.
Yeah.
But he was like in his 20s-ish when the Lions won their last, you know, fucking championship. You know, you have generations upon generations that have never seen good football in Detroit.
Sure. Yeah, what did y'all win in 93? What was that, y'all's division? What was that?
It was NFC championship.
Yeah, I was a senior in high school. I've been out of high school like 30-something years.
You understand? Now. So when we look at it from that aspect, you got to look and be like, man, good football. Yeah, you can play good football and get here and there. But
here's the thing, Jay.
You want to win a ring. Ask the Buffalo Bills, do they care about the 4 or 5 Super Bowls they've been to? You know, ask any Buffalo Bill fan.
Oh, in a row?
Or Minnesota Viking fan.
Or the Minnesota Vikings.
The thing is,
you know what I'm saying? Like, hold on really quick, Nate. Hold on really quick. Like, you look at some of the best players who've never won a Super Bowl, like Dan Marino. Do you think Dan Marino would trade a lot of success that he has had, you know, for a Super Bowl? Yes. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of I want a Super Bowl. Yes, you want your team to be good and stay relevant, but it means absolutely nothing if you don't win a Super Bowl. That's why Matthew Stafford walks around like this all the time, because he left a bad team and went to an instant Super Bowl contender and won. So whatever he did here, it goes all out of the window because he got that diamond on his hand now.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
And I get that, but the thing is that when you talk about putting all your chips on the table, because that's what you want the Lions to do. Like the Lions currently right now probably are not going to win a Super Bowl because they have to get some more pieces. Like, let's just be real with the roster. We have to get another piece.
They could win. They could win.
It's going to be tough, man.
It's a little bit, you know.
I think
last year was
in
their favor. Yeah. But the Lions definitely have a roster that's a Super Bowl contending team. Now, do they have to tweak a few things? Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. You know, but I don't see any clear Super Bowl favorite teams. The only team that I can sit here and say I know could make it to the Super Bowl no matter what is the Kansas City Chiefs. Because the Chiefs year in, year out, no matter their situation, they're going to win. You know, they're going to go to the Super Bowl. But I don't look at any team as just clear favorites. The Lions can win a Super Bowl with the roster they have. Do they need to make a couple changes? Absolutely. We aren't going to, throw that off by the wayside.
And to get to that point, they have to make a really impactful move. Like, we can all agree on that. Like, I don't think the current roster right now, we can win a Super Bowl. We need to make an impactful move. Probably
and if that's the case, Nate, you know, you and I, we kind of went back and forth with, you know, who should we trade and sign and who?
Yeah, like who? Because it looks like a perfect roster.
Trey Hendricks.
I still want Trey Hendricks. I still want Hendrickson. You know, and when we look at that, you got to say like, okay, the Lions are talking about paying players in the future. If you want to win now, you need to make a move now, because once you start paying certain people, you won't be able to pay Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch.
And the only thing I got to say about that, Jay, is though the Lions haven't been in those positions to be like, oh, we got to win now. They have never, ever been in a position. So they have to start from square one, really, and rebuild their franchise from the ground up. So they have a consistency, so they can be like a Dallas, so they can be like a Pittsburgh,
what I'm saying.
They can be like a Patriots organization.
Would you rather?
I look at it this way. I want the Lions, like, I want them to be good, but I don't care about 27 or 28 and what they have to do then, because it's like, that's not here yet. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what players are going to request a trade, or what players like, you know what, let me test free agency. You don't know if your players will be healthy, your core players. You want to do what you can to win now. That's where it starts from, winning now. You know what I mean? Go ahead, Nate. What were you going to say? Because I see your face.
I'm not feeling that, because I'll tell you why. Because here's the thing, like B said, the Lions have never been about the win now mode. They have always been about we're building something, and they continue to build.
No, they've been about they losing something. That's what they've been about.
Losing. Big time.
A losing organization prevents that culture. That's what I'm saying.
I don't give a shit about the past anymore. I'm looking forward. Like
I understand that, but you from the past, you have to learn from your mistakes. That's the point. That's what
I get that part, but what I'm saying is, all we know now is what we know now. Yes, the past was bad, but hey, that's in the past. Like they have a winning culture. Okay, they have a winning culture now. That's all that matters.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The thing is, with the Lions, it's either one or two things. Like I said, either you put all your chips on the table and you go for that one chance to get to the Super Bowl. A chance doesn't mean it's going to happen. We could get Trey Hendricks tomorrow. We could be the favorites to win the NFC like we were last year before all the injuries, and we might not win. And then we've handicapped our whole freaking cap for the next 3 or 4 years. You say the next 2 or 3 years don't matter. It matters, bro.
It don't matter.
Think about it. Does matter.
Matter.
Just before you both go a little bit further, Tip has to go. So we'll have to let him.
I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, we'll try to get you on next week for the. We're gonna try to do the NFC one, or the NFC.
Yeah, I gotta go too, guys, and I got about 5 more minutes.
Well, I want to make one more statement before I do go, because you know me, I just got to throw the grenade out there and then leave. So you're talking about Nate. You're talking about, like, I would like to have the sustained success, kind of like what the 49ers are having or did have, right, these last 5 or 6 years. But look at the hell they're in right now, where we don't know,
because they overpaid players.
But that's
we're going to have to do the same thing.
Every team is going to have to overpay a player at some time, because even if you think the player is going to be fantastic, injuries can happen. Father Time can just show up one day, make you look like a banana.
Yeah.
Look what it did to me.
I get it.
That's why it's hard to have a dynasty.
Yeah. And that's why, like, what New England did, what Kansas City is doing, that's so hard to replicate. I know.
Well, you got to move off players,
but it's so hard.
It does happen.
Yeah. You know, that's why I say, like, right now I'm not worried about paying Kirby Joseph, and as crazy as it may sound, I'm not even worried about paying Hutch just this year yet, because do what you can now to win. Why are we so in a rush?
They are, but that's the thing is they are, but the bills are coming.
Why be in a rush?
Brad said.
Why are we in a rush to pay these players? You know, like,
because contracts are going to come up soon, man.
Like, you want?
Don't.
I appreciate y'all. I gotta go. I'll see y'all.
All right. Take it easy.
Have a good one, brother.
Nice meeting you, man.
Keep it gangster.
Yeah.
But you know, like think about this, Nate. Like I said, you're in a rush to pay these players right now. Who's to say that Kirby Joseph is going to want to sign a contract?
I didn't say we were in a rush. I said that it's coming due, but
it's coming due right now. Right. So that means if Kirby Joseph has another good year like he did last year, he don't even have to lead the league in interceptions. Just have a great year. Max contract. You know who else is going to be next? Brian Branch. Max contract. You're going to have all of these max contracts on your books. You know what I'm saying? And you literally are going to handicap yourself by paying all of these people that you don't need to pay right now.
Would you rather pay players that you develop and made stars and keep on your roster, or would you rather go out and buy somebody else from another team?
It depends. The context that definitely depends, because if I'm saying, like, would I rather pay Kirby Joseph or would I rather pay somebody like Jesse Bates, then obviously I'm going to pay Kirby Joseph because he's a lot younger, you know, with the same potential, if not just a little bit more, right? But if it's another cornerback out there that's better than Terry and Arnold that I can get, yeah, I'm going to pay that guy because he can come in and instantly make him better.
That's why we had DJ Reed, because DJ Reed obviously is an upgrade over Terrian.
Small upgrade, not. But you know, we talked about that before. But you know, like, if it's a guy that's young and he deserves a contract, yeah, I'm going to pay him if he's a core player. But how many teams in the league pays a running back a max contract? Not many. Not many. How many of them pay, you know, number 2 receivers big contracts like J-Mo is going to expect in the future? Not many.
I don't. First off, I don't think that the Lions are giving max contracts to everybody. You're saying, like, they're going to move. hold up. They're gonna move off of people. They're gonna have to.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Those are solid players.
But
you're talking.
But Nate, I'm explaining it to you now. Right? Okay. Like people that the Lions needed to pay Penei Sewell. They needed to pay Penei Sewell. They needed to pay Aleem McNeil. Did they really? I'm just asking a question. Don't kill me for it. Did they really need to pay David Montgomery give him another 2 years on his deal? Ooh. Did they really need to do that right now?
Yes, because him and Gibbs work well together, and you need a running back to help spell your superstar. You can't just put him out there all the time.
I agree with that, but did they need to do it this year?
Okay, so Brad Holmes is a GM, kind of like Howie Roseman is. We know how much you like talking about Howie, so I'm going to throw some knowledge to you. Howie likes to reward his players when they do well. He rewarded Saquon with a huge deal. Did he?
But he was a free agent. He was a free agent, though.
No.
He was a free agent.
He had a contract. He had a contract already. But he won a Super Bowl, balled out, and Howie made him the highest paid. Okay? So
what's the problem?
I'm saying, hold up. What I'm saying is that Brad Holmes is in the business of paying his players that play well. Like you look at all the guys that we've re-signed, it's because they've brought something to the table. The ones that are big signings, not the small signings. The big signing extensions, it's because they've balled out and they've outplayed their contract. So Brad Holmes is saying, thank you for your service. Here's what we're doing for you.
Of course.
He sets the foundation. Okay.
Of course. What about let's talk about the Howie Roseman now, right? Why do you think he went out and got 2 defensive backs? Thank you, Sonya. Why do you think he went out and got 2 defensive backs?
Take care, Sonya.
In the coming out here, even though you didn't do too much of moderation because we
appreciate you a lot. Because your people chicken out. So just keep me on standby, and I will relinquish my rights too, so that Nate can have them back.
Okay.
Or you just remove me, whatever.
Yeah.
Sonya, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I shared this, guys.
Yes,
See you later.
Appreciate you.
Right.
Okay, bye.
Like really quick, go Nate. Like, when we look at it, why did they go out and draft 2 defensive backs and back-to-back picks? You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't want to pay big contracts to Maddox or Darius Slay or anything. Even though they were there, they knew eventually they were going to have to get replaced.
Sure. We talked about that because they drafted and developed so many players well that they were able to move off of.
I know we passed our time.
Way back, yeah.
We're about to wrap it up. But the thing is, like they've already shown that they can draft well. So therefore, they were able to move off of Josh Sweat. They were able to move off of Johnson. They were able to move off some of their players. Now, here's the thing: will it work? We don't know. We don't know. You can say all day, "Oh, Cooper DeJean was this," Quinyon Mitchell was this. Well, let's see what they
do. It already worked. It already worked. They got the ultimate prize. It already worked. Now the sustained success. The sustained success. I mean, obviously that's a big deal. But Nate, you're missing the bigger picture. They won the Super Bowl. You understand what I'm saying?
Let me ask you this question: if they did not win the Super Bowl, okay, let's just hypothetically, if they didn't win it, would your thoughts of Howie be the same?
With them playing the exact same way, yes, it would be. But I'm saying, like, I can't get into hypotheticals because they won. We know we have to go based off of what we know now, and they won the Super Bowl. And Howie Roseman calculated a lot of big things. He knew he wasn't going to pay Maddox. He knew he wasn't going to pay Slay. He knew, they needed to get a running back. They couldn't
afford him. They could not afford him.
You understand what I'm saying? And
I do understand.
Just like I said, man, they were in a sink and swim position, just something like the Lions were. Remember, they went 10-6, or was it 10-7? I'm sorry, the year before they had a big collapse, and then they ended up losing to the Bucs in the playoffs. They knew they had to tweak some things. They knew they had to go out and make a big splash move. And what did they do? They went out and got the best running back available in the market. And
who stupidly fell to them. Fell to them.
I still kick the Giants and they behind for that, but. I digress. Like I said, man, I think the Lions do have a Super Bowl squad, but I just kind of want to taper away a little bit from I'm poor right now. We got to pay some people in the future, so let me save up all my coins. No, I think you need to do what you can to win now, especially when you have such a good roster like you do now. That just needs a few minor tweaks. That's all I'm saying. You know,
Fair.
I ain't saying they need to change the quarterback and get 3 offensive line. I'm just saying, if you can add a few defensive pieces, why not? And if that comes at the expense of your running back, why not?
Mm-hmm. I've just never been a sell the farm type of guy. Like I believe in developing and staying consistent and having a shot at the table multiple times to get there. Because if you put all your chips on the table for that one time, like I said, we could get Trey Hendricks tomorrow. Okay, let's just say it. We get Trey Hendricks tomorrow, be the Super Bowl favorites in a lot of people's eyes, and we might not still win it. And then what?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, stuff happens. Stuff happens. Just like Tip was saying, you know, Dallas had all those good teams, and they had a rash full of injuries, and that prevented them from getting to their
that's the equalizer point. That we've all the time.
Anything can happen. I mean, I think that's the reason why both sides of these arguments work, because and Jay's saying that you could get somebody in your Super Bowl window is now if you get somebody, whereas you're saying, Nate, that you can build for the long term. I think teams got to really tread the line on those two factions, because you know, yes, you want to keep with a product for a long period of time, you want to keep with the same players and build onto your roster, but at the same time you have the pressure of winning now. You know, Tip made a good point. If everything was fair in football, the Lions would probably have a Super Bowl or two already, because every 32 years, you know, somebody wins a Super Bowl. A different team wins a Super Bowl. If that was all fair in the NFL, but it's not. So, I mean, it just goes. I'm kind of torn in between both of y'all, because I think that both of y'all have valid points about this.
And that's the split. That's the split of the fan bases right now. They're one side or there's the other side. Sell the farm, get it now, get it over with. And the other side is like, hey, keep doing what you're doing, stay the process, sign your guys, extend your best players, and make moves here and there to hopefully get you in that big game.
But that's a lot. Like I said, again, that's the line that we got to walk as fans too, because I mean, it's tough being a GM and making these decisions. Sure. You know, as good as Sheila is, as good as Brad Holmes' draft prospection is concerned, and as good as Dan Campbell is as a head coach, at the end of the day, or at the end of the season, your job is to be in that Super Bowl contention, regardless of what you're trying to do for the future. So, but you want to build so you can get to that point. You know what I'm saying? Also is too. So, I mean, it's a fine line that you walk on. Every team has to do it. Some teams are better at other teams, like Philadelphia. Philadelphia, you know, I know you don't like the Philadelphia Eagles, Nate. But Howie is doing a very good job. Since he took over all those responsibilities over there, like I said, they've been in 3 Super Bowls in 8 years. They've been 2-1 in those Super Bowls. And they haven't won every season. There's some seasons that they were crap in between that. So you do have to have a lull before you come back up. It's all about that. That's what you call GMing, though. You know you're going to have a bad
when you get in Cap Hill. You know what happens when you get in Cap Hill. Okay, we understand that you got to move some stuff around. We understand you got to move on from a couple of players. This is why you're going to get the extension, so you can prove to us that you can get back there. Something Howie Roseman did. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to clutch my pearls about something that, you know, may not even happen, because we may not even make the Super Bowl with this roster. You don't know. You can pay every single one of them.
I don't think currently constructed right now, I don't think we will.
You know,
I said on record, last year was our year.
Yeah, I think we still got a chance. I'm not going to say that it was just all nothing last year.
We'll be in the talks, winning last year. But it you know, everything real quick, and then we'll wrap this up. Everything is about how things fall into play. You want to talk about the Eagles situation? Okay, let's talk real quick. The Eagles, their first Super Bowl, they had Nick Foles go on a run that nobody's ever fucking seen in football. We can all agree on that.
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
Their starting quarterback wasn't even playing. So that's an anomaly within itself, okay? And then you look at the second time they made the Super Bowl, number 1 defense. Saquon Barkley ran for 2,000 yards. Jalen Hurts threw for only 18 touchdowns, and they avoided us. You know, like, I don't care what anybody says. I wanted that game on the grass, okay? You put them in Detroit, and let's see what happens. You might think you know what happens, but we will never know until this season. Like, I want to see that game on the grass, and then I can say, you know what? Let me give you props. Because that environment, well, okay, that's fine. In that environment, in our house, one game away from the biggest game of our lives, who knows what can happen? Any given Sunday, anything can happen. And they avoided us, and they made the Super Bowl, and then they just demolished Patrick Mahomes.
This is my last thing on it, and I'm done. I can only tell you based off of what happened. We got our asses kicked by a team that lost to them by like 30. You understand what I'm saying? Because they couldn't stop that running back Saquon Barkley.
But we didn't play them. We did not play them. It's a different story.
No, we got our asses kicked by a team that wasn't. I don't think the Washington Commanders were really much comparable to them. I'm just going to be honest with you. But that's just my opinion.
It was a defensive thing. You know, there's a bunch of superlatives, and that which makes the NFL good in a sense, because every season there's a team that has superlatives. You could be a Super Bowl favorite. I mean, Kansas City was the only team really people thought that we're going to go back to the Super Bowl, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody really. There was, you know, the Lions are going to go. Philadelphia is going to go. The Lions were kind of the top team to go to the Super Bowl too, but shit happens, and that's just part of the NFL. It just works.
And that's what I'm saying. Is like things have to go. Things have to fall in play for you to make it to the big game. And last year, outside of the defensive injuries, everything was right in front of us, y'all. Number 1 seed at our house. You know, favorable schedule. You know, you got a rookie quarterback your first play.
we wouldn't have. We should have held.
Lions wouldn't have stopped that Eagles offense. I just seen that comment.
Yeah,
it would have been very hard to stop that offense.
I'm not going to make any prognostications on anything unless I saw it played myself.
With Jalen Hurts, we'd say Jaden Daniels. Do you think Jaden Daniels is better than Jalen Hurts? I don't think so, but he can be just as dangerous.
Jaden Daniels.
But I don't know. I can't say that for sure. But
based on last year, first of all, Jalen Hurts gets too much credit for everything. That dude is not a good quarterback. Exactly. He has a good offensive line. He's got capable, skilled players to play.
He hides behind all this.
He hides behind all that stuff. He's not. Are you going to call? If you call Jalen Hurts a top 10 quarterback, there's something wrong with you. You're a Philadelphia Eagle fan or whatever. He's not.
I think he's a top 10.
No, he's not top 10.
I don't think he's.
I can name 10 other quarterbacks that are way better than him.
Really? I would say Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, right?
Jared Goff,
Stafford.
I don't know about Stafford. Jared Goff.
You don't know about Stafford? Okay.
You don't think Stafford's better than Jalen Hurts?
Stafford is better than Jalen Hurts. Just Stafford does a lot less. Stafford does a lot with a lot less players.
Herbert?
Okay.
I don't know because you had Kyrie, you had what was that? Their running back. I'm drawing a blank right now, but running back's really good. I mean, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, really good, right?
Yeah, but Stafford's all talent, man. Come on, man.
I think he got a better arm.
We can debate this after the show.
You know,
let's go ahead and.
But really quick, just basically what I'm saying is, good show, fellas.
Yeah,
good show.
Yeah, it sucks that our counterparts decided not to show up. You know, y'all will never be welcome back on the show.
They better not ask me for nothing.
You get one chance, and you leave us high to dry. And notification.
You're eminent to me right now. You get one chance, and you blow it.
You're dead to me.
That's all there is. Right.
All right. Well, hey,
thank you for everybody who tuned in. Literally, thank you everybody who commented, interacted with us. We really appreciate it. Keep the comments coming.
Mm-hmm.
And look forward to the next show.
Yes, please.
Brent, as always. Robbie, as always. Thanks, Robbie. And Paul Jones, who also gave us a like on our show. Thank you very much for joining us,
sir.
And, the 5 to 6 viewers that were on here, thank you very much for doing so. Thank you to Sonia. Thank you to Tip for coming on here.
Yes.
We had a good time. This is one of the better shows that we've had, and I enjoyed
and please like and subscribe to our show. Next week we'll have another segment of Jay's cooking session. I think we're going to do defensive tackles next week.
Defensive tackle.
And hopefully we're going to try to get the NFC East guys on here. Mike will sure be here, so we'll have to definitely talk more Cowboys. So we'll hopefully, fingers crossed, they'll show up next week. And then, I'm done, fellas. As always, fuck the Packers, fuck the Vikings, and fuck the Bears, and definitely fuck them tonight because that was terrible, guys.
Right.
Seriously.
Bad showing.
Sleep with your eyes open. Sleep with your eyes
everybody
open.
that watch, you know what our division's about.